right, RJ, I'm ready for this. My when my Panthers show your lightning, what's up?
Yeah, okay. I picked the Lightning to win the series. Doesn't mean I want them to win the series. I'm still all aboard the Joe Thornton needs a Stanley Cup train. So
You just have
let's hope that happens.
you just don't have faith in it, is what you're saying.
I has history ever shown that having faith in that has been the correct idea? I mean,
No, only when you're making defenses of Pete DeBoer. Um, those,
good transition there.
yeah, I know. So far this Tampa power play looking just as terrible as it did against Toronto, where Florida has had the better chances almost.
Yeah, I mean it's something that you'd think they'd maybe
Two
figure out after. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two shorthanded odd man rush attempts if you're Florida on one power play. It's not great if you're Tampa.
nope. But I mean they started that poorly against Toronto, and I guess it worked out for them. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that
I think
did.
at some point you'll see the urgency kick in
Yeah,
for Tampa.
that was a nice chance there for was it Kucherov up front. Hey Hunter, how's it going? Brian, I won't be able to join live tonight. So many doors to count. I will listen to the playback. If you do cover the Fiala or Forsberg question, I'll be excited to learn your all's thoughts. Okay,
Yeah, so
Brian.
that is something that that Brian did tweet at us earlier today. I told him we'd cover it in more depth on the stream.
Okay, then we'll do it kind of shortly here, just so you won't have to, search
Yep.
for it too much in the playback. But thanks for stopping by and saying hi while you can. Hey, X Kid Z, how's it going? Here we go, Alex. I was waiting on this one. Nerves have hit the reset button in game one for me. Yeah, I mean, Alex, that power play not looking too good there.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of the start of the last series.
Yep. Although again, in game one, like as far as nerves as like a fan watching it too, it kind of does reset a little bit because you know that the series can't be over tonight or anything. You're not eliminated.
Yeah,
You've got some time.
yeah, not game seven nerves, that's for sure.
Yep.
Um, all right. So was the question from Brian just yeah they'll be fine. Just need to feel them out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's Vasilevsky is the better netminder. I think it's just going to come down to him in this series,
Yeah. No, I think the goaltending is going to be huge with him and Bobrovsky.
and potentially how
Um,
long points out.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, Point, of course, not playing in this game. We'll see when if he's able to make his return. Um, I just I hate to think about like what they're gonna have to do to just try and get him in game shape. Um, yeah, it's not gonna be pretty.
No, it really won't be. Ekblad's out there though for Florida, and he's looked okay so far.
Yeah, no, I figured his is a little easier of a fix. Given that he was just like limping around and looking pretty bad, but it wasn't like where he couldn't even turn
Yeah,
or transfer motion or anything like that.
right.
Like what
Because
Point had to go through.
yeah, with Braden Point, I mean that looked like he might have torn his quad or something. Based on
I
where
know
he was
that.
holding, like that's not a good place to be holding, or a groin injury at the very least. Like
No, I mean like torn quad is certainly in the realm of possibility there. And then I don't know what you even do with that.
surgery.
Well, yeah, okay. I,
You don't play
I don't know how
hockey.
you make that playable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure don't play hockey, but he might try, unfortunately. Um,
All right.
so
Yeah, because we're getting other Kraken questions here. So why don't we go ahead and do our like a Kraken corner?
yep, let's do that. No, and I've been looking forward to that too, because this has kind of been the mindset that I've been in the last couple days, looking at the various rumors and the talk from some of the insiders, thinking about kind of what the Kraken's off-season blueprint is,
Hmm.
and it also does tie in with what Brian asked. I can go pull up his tweet now here. Um, it was he says both are available now. Their contract values were very similar. One is 27, the other 25, and they finished only one total point apart from one another. But you can only get one. Do you get Philip Forsberg or Kevin Fiala? So that was the question.
Yeah. I like Fiala more. I will say Forsberg doing the points that he did without the supporting cast probably more impressive, better pure goal scorer. And realistically, you're not going to have to give up an asset for him. That's really the downside of Fiala.
Yep, and that's what I mentioned in that tweet. I said there's too many trade-offs to really cover in a tweet. But ultimately it would come down to the fact that with Forsberg, you're not going to have to give up a major asset to get him,
Hmm.
whereas with Fiala, you absolutely would. I do think the Fiala contract would come in cheaper. I think they're
Yes.
actually looking at diving into it a little bit today. I was surprised to see how comparable they looked numbers wise as players, especially looking at Forsberg's, kind of 24, 25-year-old seasons. If you kind of project that out for Kevin Fiala, they're more comparable than I thought. And the money should be less on Fiala, given that you've got some team control there when you're negotiating a contract. Um, so I think Fiala could potentially be the better option, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to give up a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that the trade-off to make that happen is going to be worth it. If you're Minnesota and you're trading Fiala, your asking price is at least a first-round pick. And if you're the
Oh yeah.
Kraken, then you got to, do some gymnastics, try to trade to get a second first-round pick that you're then going to trade to Minnesota. You're talking about giving up a lot of assets at that point because you're not giving up fourth overall for him.
No, you're
So,
not.
so you'd be talking about packaging seconds to get into the first round as high as possible and then do something there. And all of a sudden, I don't know. I get it. Fiala's, certainly going to be probably a better player than you'd find with those second round picks or maybe with, a low first that you'd be trading up into.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just don't think it makes sense for them. Not when when you do have the cap space to just kind of go out and get Forsberg.
Right, and that's the thing. It would only be an option really if Forsberg and Gaudreau either re-signed or were not interested, and
Hmm.
then you've got to start having that conversation.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Johnny Hockey? Have they changed at all after his heroics at the end of that series?
No, they haven't changed all that much. I still, again, he's a great player, fantastic player. That was a perfect shot to beat Ottinger in overtime, and sometimes you kind of need something like that. I still have my questions about whether it would work out, and also just that if things aren't in perfect conditions for him, I think he's someone who's easier to slow down. And you look at that series as a whole against Dallas, and I know you talked about a lot of it being kind of self-imposed with the Flames just not playing that style of hockey that he needs to play, but I think it is also something that you can defend well against, and the Stars showed that.
Yeah, that's why because games 5, 6, and 7 were just the Johnny Gaudreau show. Like he was just
Yeah.
making offensive chances happen in all three of those games over and over and over, and those were the games that, yeah, you know everything was off. They were just letting him go out and do his thing. They were letting that line go out and do their thing. I think that's what you got to do with a guy like that, and then you get 115 points out of him. Like it's at some point it's
Hmm.
hard to deny that if he's easy to defend, how does he end up with 115 points? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's one of those. But yeah, it'll
I
be
think he's
interesting to
also
see.
someone, as the rules change a little bit in the playoffs, is going to be easier to defend too. But
Potentially, the
and we'll
thing,
see. Yeah.
yeah, the thing that impresses me about that Game 7 overtime shot that no one's talking about is the puck was completely on edge. He
Hmm.
shot that thing completely on edge, and no one's like mentioning that. But that was like the first thing I noticed. I was like, he did that puck standing up, like he just ripped it.
Yeah, no, fantastic skill play. I can't take anything away from him
Yeah.
there. No, it was a great shot.
All right, so Hunter, what's y'all's thoughts on Friedman's most recent 32 Thoughts podcast, especially about the Kraken? So obviously talking about the Kraken being players in free agency. What a shock for all of us, right?
Yep.
Of course, Klingberg gets brought up again. I just we're not escaping it, RJ.
No, and I think it's just going to keep lasting until we actually hit free agency, and either happens or doesn't happen. Chris Letang was the other name that was brought
Mm-hmm.
up, and although with further reporting today that apparently Letang, what was it? I heard 4 years at a little under the 7.5 he's being paid now was a Penguins offer, and that was via Elliot Friedman, who kind of refuted a different report from a Pittsburgh reporter. But
Yeah.
basically, if that's kind of the range that we're talking, 4 years at something just south of 7.5, I think the Kraken have to be out on that at a 35-year-old.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about it, just the two of us, saying that really the term kind of had to be about 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're willing to load up the AAV kind of as high as you need to
Yeah.
go to get that done. But if Letang has 3 and 4 year offers on the table, I don't know why he would do a 2 year term
Exactly.
anywhere.
Exactly. And I think there's going to be teams out there willing to give him 3 years for sure on the open market, just because teams do that for defensemen like
Yep.
him all the time. We see it as we continue to talk through another boring Tampa power play. Um, yeah, so I'm starting to think the Latane thing's not gonna happen. Um,
Yep. I
just
agreed.
just based on what we're hearing out of there. Klingberg, love him. I've loved him forever. Like when he first came into the league, I remember I was texting you about this guy. I was like, you got to check this guy out on Dallas. He's fantastic.
Hmm.
But he's going to cost so much, and I just truly, truly, truly do not think that this is what the Kraken need. They do not need to load up on a defenseman like him. That is not going to solve their problems. That is not going to get them to the playoffs. That's not going to be what gives them success. We went through all the numbers at the end of the season. Everything comes
Hmm.
down to goal scoring. You can't score on the power play. You can't score regulation. You're not getting shots. You're not being able to do anything efficiently up front. So if they're going to go out and spend $8 million plus per year on somebody, it better be somebody who can go out there and score 30 goals.
Exactly. And yes, Klingberg will help you offensively, with some
Yeah.
indirect effects there. But he's not going to fix those goal scoring issues. That is should be priority number one,
Mm-hmm.
far and away. And especially if you're going to go out there and just spend a bunch of money with a bunch of term. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, with this D market, you're probably talking about paying Klingberg in the neighborhood of what you would pay a Forsberg or a Gaudreau. Not that big a difference given what defensemen are going for. And I just think the forward helps you so much more. I mean, and further to the report too, because there was the written 32 thoughts today as well, and Friedman talking about how, and here I got to look up this quote here, but several negotiations, not just Pittsburgh, will be affected by Seattle. Teams and especially agents are eager to learn of the Kraken's plans to add offensive talent. So, I mean, this is something that I'm conflicted about because if I, in one sense it's exciting because the Kraken are going for it, they're looking to add, they're being competitive next season. In another sense, in general speaking, if I was just covering this team, that was 10 years into their existence, whatever, I would be like, danger, danger.
Yes.
Because that sense, like when the agents are excited, that means they're excited that, oh, here's some suckers that are going to go overpay for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they're talking about. They're going to give them term and money that is just not going to look good for the team in the future. And so I'm really worried about that. Again, I think for a player like Forsberg or Gaudreau, you can kind of get above that when it's an elite player where they're kind of worth that money.
Yeah.
But if the Kraken feel that they're desperate to go in and bring a defenseman in like Klingberg or Letang, given what they're going to cost, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a great day for the agents, but a bad day for the Kraken. I really do worry about that.
I do. I think it's one of those things, and again, love like Klingberg as a player. I think he could age pretty well with term. Like I don't worry as much about that. But again, it's not what you need, and none of those contracts ever age great. Like you know what I mean? Like just because it can age okay, that's really like something to hang your hat on. Um, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I think if Seattle's going to set the market on anything, it has to be for somebody who can come in and score 40 goals, and those two other guys can do that. And Klingberg's not going to. And at the end of the day, that's just what I want to see. I will say the agents can get all excited and stuff. I know Ron Francis is feeling pressure from ownership to go out and do stuff. I understand that, but at the end of the day, I don't see Ron Francis doing that just because we didn't see him go out and try to absorb big contracts just for names, through the expansion process and free agency last year and stuff. That wasn't really his thing. He was looking at more mid-tier stuff last year, and
It's true.
you could have argued that there was a couple big swings he could have taken, and he chose not to. So
Hmm.
I understand he's got to make one of them this year. I don't think he's going to be dumb with the money that he has available, even though he knows he has to be aggressive.
Yeah, and I hope he'll be selective about it, because that's the thing. I do worry, and his track record shows that he's not going to just throw that money around necessarily.
Hmm.
I still do worry about the dangers you can get into with mid tier guys. Like, let's say Forsberg and Gaudreau both re-sign, which is with both in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Then I really worry about what Francis is going to do,
Yep.
because I think he could end up overpaying for some mid tier guys. You look at the biggest mistakes they made all of last offseason, it was signing mid tier free agents.
Yeah,
Um,
and you and I have talked about the danger of the mid-tier free agents. Like
yeah,
generally it's not worth doing. Just replenish those kinds of guys with cheap young talent that might be slightly worse. It won't hurt your bottom line too much. And if you're going to pay money for people, make sure it's the rock solid kind of superstar guys and
yep,
break the bank for them to retain them.
exactly.
So, be interesting to see where they go. Alex, Florida crowd definitely being affected by the Heat playing tonight too. Yeah, I got to think. I mean, why wouldn't you want to stay downtown Miami instead of driving up to some swamp, 30 minutes away to watch the hockey game when you got the Heat game tonight? That being said, still looks like a decent crowd. And I will say, finished off that second penalty kill there with another odd man rush, and then they just turned it into controlling the puck in the Tampa zone for a nice long while. So
Yeah,
things
good
are.
start for them.
It's been a good start for them for sure. Ty, let's go. Seattle versus Portland, game 7 tonight. Feels like the Wild versus Blues series if the Wild had one more early win. Yes, Portland, gotta close it out tonight. Come on, guys. Stop fooling around. Just get this done.
No, I want to go to a T-Birds game in the
I
next round.
know. Let's see. Mom in here. Panthers coach is still listed as interim thoughts. Coach Q coming back. I I think Quinville is going to coach in this league next year, just because that's the way these things happen.
That's
He
soon, huh?
went. Yeah, I do. He went and he took classes, and he'll be back then because of that. That's the way it is. I don't like it, but I really think that's going to be the case. He will not coach for Florida though.
No, no,
They
absolutely not.
they can't go back to that. That being said, I think the reason they've kept that interim tag is they wanted to see who was going to be available. Tell me if you're Barry Trotz, you're not watching this Florida team and their playoff run pretty close.
Exactly. I think he probably sees enough there that he's like, yeah, I can win a cup with this group. And yeah, interesting. Barry Trotz interviewing in Winnipeg today.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he's from Manitoba. That's
There's
be kind of coaching his hometown team. So I understand that aspect of it.
Yeah, and there's some front office connections and stuff there too, so it all
Yeah.
makes sense. I just think when you have a team like a Florida that is going to be on the coaching market and they're still in the playoffs and they, just won the President's Trophy, all that kind of stuff, like you have to kind of probably wait and see what they're going to do. I would assume.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
maybe Pizza Boer makes a return to Florida.
Oh, could you imagine? That'd be interesting.
It would
I think
be
he'd be a good fit.
potentially. I don't know. Maybe he'd bottle up this offense, as we were talking about stuff like that
That's true. I
yesterday.
mean, it would be based less on the rush chances than it has been, but maybe that's that's the thing. I feel like DeBoer's offensive system, as much as it does kind of stifle the offense in that way, I think it's more sustainable in the playoffs if you have the
Hmm.
personnel. And I do think the Panthers have that. I mean, look, you could base stuff around Aaron Ekblad. You need one of
Yeah,
those, legit defensemen. I think he would work well there.
yeah, that's true. Um, so those are my thoughts there. I could see if Winnipeg decides to blow things up, as I see Alex down there at the bottom. If Trotz goes to Winnipeg, that likely means Wheeler Shifley gone. That might happen anyway. To be honest, I think if Winnipeg decides to blow things up, that's where you could see a Quinville because he's going to go to a team that's going to be a little lower profile because they're going through a rebuild, and that's a little
Mhm.
safer. And you know what I mean. And Winnipeg is not exactly a massive media market that draws national attention, league wide attention all the time. So I think that could be a situation there. I don't think Trotz would want to go there if they're going to blow it up, though, because why would you? He's got to be getting old, right? Barry
Yeah,
Trotz.
I can never tell. I mean, with
I
how
know
like
he's
he
looked.
looks more or less the same as he did when he started.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm looking it up here.
he's 59. He's actually
He's,
not that old.
he's 59, but you're still getting up there. 60. You'll be 60 next year. Um, so I don't know that you'd want to go through like a long rebuild process in Winnipeg. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
No,
it's
I think he's got to be looking for a winner right away.
Yeah, and your options there are Vegas or Florida. So,
Yep.
um, All right, let's see. Where were we? That shot was insane. Perfect spot, and tons of other factors like it being on its side. Johnny Hockey, good lord, it was a great shot. It was. Sergeant Pickles, hello everyone. I'm currently installing wall trim while listening, so can't wait for the Killer Dylan and RJ play by play. Yeah, sorry we haven't exactly talked much about this game. Being said, not a ton has happened. It's like what
No.
6:40 left in the first period. Each team only rocking 4 shots apiece, so gives you a
Yep.
good
As I'm
idea
watching
what's
a
going
board
on.
battle in the corner right now.
Yeah, it is what it is. I will say I've liked the cycle that Florida's been able to get a couple times here. Um,
hmm
it's
Including right now, yeah.
yeah, they've done a good job with that, and I like how fast it is. Like they don't mess around. So,
No,
but
they really don't.
Tampa's been doing a good job of staying in shooting lanes, though.
Yep, they're disciplined. We know that.
Yeah, Hunter, Seattle setting the market. Whoa, I'm not sure how I feel about that. It again, it depends on what it is. If they're setting the market because they're getting one of those wingers, you could feel better about it than if it's Klinberg. There it
Yep.
is. First goal of the
Oh,
series.
all
Anthony
right. Time to find
Duclair.
out how far
Let's
behind you
go.
I am.
Let's go. That
Still hasn't happened on my.
See, this has been the problem. Tampa's been in the shooting lanes. They have not been in the passing lanes. Vasilevsky's bailed them
Uh,
out on a couple, and there he just wasn't able to. Sick patience by Duclair to kind of hold on to that one.
how far behind am I? This goal still has not happened on mine.
Oh, I don't know.
Still
See,
hasn't.
see, Duclair waits.
There it
Vasilevsky
is.
comes all the way. Vasilevsky comes all the way
Yeah.
across and is set, and Duclair holds so he knows how high he has to put it over his glove or blocker there. And
Huh.
actually might go under the blocker. Actually, just threw a little thing there. What
Yeah.
you said, huh?
Oh no, no, I'm just trying to figure out why my stream is so far behind yours.
Oh, I don't know. So there we go. First goal of the series belongs to Florida. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't been paying attention. I'll look in the second period, try to figure out what they're doing line matching wise.
hmm
Because you have Barkov, who's your best defensive center for sure. So are they matching him against, Stamkos, Kucherov, or whatever, or that kind of takes away also your scoring line.
Right.
Interesting to see what they're doing. I have not liked the rebounds Vasilevsky's given up though in this.
No, I mean that one that just popped up off the glove.
Yeah, that's not great, and
Okay,
that's not the first time.
where are you
508.
at with the clock? Okay, 508, 507. Okay, good. I think that fixed some things. But yeah, no, the rebounds have been there. I will see if your prediction rings true. I mean, you've been saying this since the start of the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
that Vasilevsky was due for a bad series and this was going to be the one.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't had one since that Columbus one. It's
No,
been a while,
it's been a while. Yeah.
but I just it's one of those things. Either you believe it, everybody has it happen, or they're just guys that are special enough not to.
Yeah.
I believe time and excessive amounts of hockey comes for all.
Yeah, no, I do believe that. Although Vasilevsky is a special goalie.
Mm-hmm. I remember. Oh my gosh, I think the first time I really got excited about him was I'd seen his numbers over in Russia, and then it was I'm trying to remember the year, but it was I guess it would have been 2013 or the 2012-2013 World Juniors, and he was 17 or 18, and he was the starting goaltender for Team Russia, and I believe they won that year, and he was just amazing. Like unbelievable, like one of the best World Juniors I've ever seen from a goaltender, and for him to be so young while doing it, that was when I was really just like, this guy is super legit, and made him my goalie in all the NHL games and in East Side hockey and all that stuff forever, just because I was like, this is the guy. And I was
Yeah, no, I
waiting.
remember that.
I was waiting for Ben Bishop to leave Tampa so he could get the job.
Yeah, and then finally, I remember seeing Vasilevsky in the 2015 Cup final coming in relief
Mm-hmm.
of Bishop, and I'm just like, this guy he's got like Ben Bishop's size almost. He
Yeah.
looks just as good, maybe better.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the eyes. Gets those bug eyes, gets them
mhm.
popping out of his head, and lets him see everything.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Alex, yeah, I would not hand out big money to either of Klingberg or Letang. Although Letang would, in theory, have less term. Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be less than max term you're
Right.
talking about with Klingberg. But let's see. Alex comment about Trotz there. Same age as John Cooper, right? There's no way Cooper's 59. I mean, maybe.
Let's see.
Maybe that's what winning a couple cups does for you back to back. You
He's
age
54.
beautifully. Okay, so close.
Yep.
Sergeant Pickles, if one former Kraken realistically comes back in the off season, who would it be? That's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean, let's see.
Barry Boulet. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Because I mean, let's go. I think Geo
Zarnik.
is no for sure. Yarn Croak, I do not see that happening.
No.
Maybe I'd say Colin Blackwell, but just given what they're going to do at forward, I don't think that's a fit.
No, I don't either.
I don't think any will, but if we had to pick one,
I'm gonna say Yarn Crook if I have to pick one.
okay. Yeah, I don't think you'd be opposed to that. I think it's just he's going to look for a place that's probably a better fit and more of a contender.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like who we lost on waivers that just might randomly
Well,
come back.
that's what I'm saying. Nathan Bastion. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, Nathan Bastion.
Zarnik, didn't we lose him? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Zarnik, baby.
Like, but that's realistically the level you're talking about as far as if we're getting somebody back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and that's X Kidsy just asked, thoughts on trying to get Blackwell back. Yeah, no, I would like to. I don't know that it's going to be priority one for them, and I think he's going to draw interest from lots of teams.
Yep. I mean, given especially playing for Toronto and having more attention on how he plays, because he never played any differently. Like he was always doing his thing.
Yeah.
But that's going to earn you a lot more attention in Toronto than it is in Seattle. And I think teams finally saw that, or even with the Rangers last year or with Nashville, wherever he's been.
Yeah.
Because the Rangers didn't really have the spotlight till this year. But
you see that rebound he coughed up there?
Let's see, 310, 309. I probably
it's coming up right now.
Okay.
For you.
I'm back. I'm behind you
because the clock stops at 3:02.
Oh so. Yeah.
See what I mean? Like,
looking a little shaky.
A little bit.
Problem is, no. See, the issue is that he's not coming off a loss. He won his last game, so that's
won
the
his last two. That's the problem. Just can't.
Yeah, no, that'll really mess him up.
It really does. Yeah. So those are our thoughts on that. It was a bad turnover, Alex. Let's see where we're now. Hunter, I have a weird feeling that the Kraken won't spend big money on a free agent. It's certainly possible that Ron Francis just won't want to reach the levels it would take on a Gaudreau or Forsberg.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just kind of sticks and maybe picks up another mid-tier guy. After the two mid-tier contracts, or really three from last year, I don't know that you want to repeat that. Those, of course, being, oh man, just letting them walk right in again. Those three contracts being Schwartz, which, yes, injuries obviously played a factor there, but it still wasn't great. Wenberg, who was at times on your fourth line, being your fourth line center and might project as your fourth line center still.
Mm-hmm.
And Grubauer, which seemed great at the time, but we all know how that kind of worked out. And hopefully he, turns things around for next year.
Yeah, but I could see that the situation where he ends up not doing that. I think if that was the case, he'd probably go to add someone on the trade market, whether that's like a Fiala or William Nylander. Fingers crossed. I do not think it's likely at all, but that would be my preferred move to make in an ideal world. But yeah, I could see that eventuality. I mean, really, I think the smart thing for the Kraken to do in a vacuum, just if you're looking at a roster building standpoint, is not to add any big name free agents this offseason. I think you're looking at, even if you get one of the big fish, you're still probably overpaying for a winger on a contract that might not age too well. Mm-hmm. And I don't like giving that kind of money to wingers. Certainly in the defenseman market, you're getting screwed no matter what. You're going to make bad decisions. There are no good decisions left to be made there. It's just not smart. But I think the Kraken are desperate. I think there is that kind of mandate from ownership. You need to compete now. And so you're looking at kind of having the least bad option, or I don't know, things that maybe turn out okay
Mhm.
rather than, horrendously.
I was gonna say, I mean, they've basically made that promise to the season ticket holders at this point.
Yep.
So
Yep.
um, they're going to do something. I do think that yes, if you're in a situation where all you can do is do like some sort of mid tier signing, go ahead and package a couple seconds and make a trade for somebody that's hopefully on a better contract.
Yeah. Now, Dylan, I have a question for you, and this
Yeah,
is might seem like kind of a dumb question, but um, so Ron Francis was kind of pretty clear in his communication. Like, look, we're going to be competitive next season. We're going to add. We're gonna everything we've been talking about, right?
yeah.
Like, do you believe him? What? Like, I believe him, but what are the odds that he changes course and goes? Because I think the smart thing to do in a vacuum would be take another season where you're not going for it and see what happens and
Hmm.
continue to build assets, right?
Yeah.
Which is certainly an option this team has.
Hmm.
But what do you think the odds are that he might actually do that?
I will say Ron Francis at no point do I feel like he has lied or gone for a misdirect with us or
Right.
anything, right? Everything last year through the expansion draft process, through that free agency, through everything was 3 to 5 year plan. And you know what? The
Yep.
team very much looked like a team that has a 3 to 5 year plan. I do think though that ownership was not happy with that. Season ticket holders were not happy with that. I think expectations were too high. Um, Obviously, hindsight would tell you that.
Yeah.
Um, so I believe him when he says that they're going to be aggressive in free agency. I don't think that that means they're going to be stupid in free agency. Like I
Hmm.
said, I think he's going to be aggressive, but for one or two select players. And if those don't pan out, he's not going to just go out and hand big money to somebody just to try to save his job or just to show season ticket holders, "Hey, we did something." Like
Hmm.
that's not his style. I think he has enough job security. I think his reputation is good enough that he doesn't have to do that. He's not going to pull a. I'm trying to think of bad GMs. Pick any Edmonton Oilers GM for the last 20 years, right? He's not
Yeah.
going to do that. In that sense, I believe him, and I think the plan will go back to 3 to 5 year plan if he can't land one of those couple big guys.
Okay. So you think he has the flexibility to do that?
I do.
Okay. Because that was my whole question is that I'm asking myself, where I want to just take it for granted that that's going to be his strategy, that he's going to, like you said, do something, whether it's
Hmm.
via trade, free agency, he's going to bring in a big name and try and add now. But I could, as the off season goes on, even now, it's looking like that's not necessarily the smartest path to go. Like, at what point does Ron Francis feel like he can shy away from that if he feels like he needs to?
Yeah, it
Which you just
depends.
answered, but yeah.
Yeah, and it depends. Like I haven't looked to see which contracts expire at the end of next season. Like what's the free agent market early
Right.
looking like then versus now? I gotta think it's probably better than now.
Oh,
um,
big stop, Bobrovsky. Yeah.
yeah, but at the same time, you can't wait too long if you want to have guys like Yanni Gord being a major contributor for you and still being there to help you out and some of
Hmm.
those other guys that you have, particularly looking at the blue line, because if you take too long, all those guys on the blue line are going to be in their 30s before you know it,
Right.
and you don't want to necessarily find yourself in that situation where by the time you figure things out up front, the back end's falling apart or whatever. Grubauer's just getting older. Schwartz is just getting older. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
at some point you have to do it. Um, yeah, he's just
Oh,
gonna
that
have to
makes
weigh
sense.
that. I will say this: the fact that he doesn't seem thrilled to me with the amount of picks he has. Like, does he seem excited to you about the amount of picks that he has? Because
No.
it doesn't. No, so that tells me he's probably thinking he's trading a lot of those.
Yeah, I mean, he said himself, like he just flat out said, I hope we don't use all these picks. And
Yeah.
he very clearly hinted that they're looking to trade some of those picks. And that's why I think that if things don't work out on the free agent market, that he could be very involved in the trade market. That's kind of what I'm hoping to see at this point, because generally you make better deals, and the players you end up with are in a better contract situation via the trade market. Yes, you have to give up assets to do that,
Hmm.
but sometimes it could be worth it.
Yeah. Um. All right, let's head back over into chat. Reading ID. Hey, all glad to hear I haven't been missing much. Yeah, not too much until that declare goal. Um, Alex, that Bishop for Chernak trade, Chef's Kiss. Oh my, totally. That like
Yep.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I was happy with them robbing the Kings on that one.
Yeah, talked about getting Blackwell back. Alex, Gavin Bayreuther. That's who wants to bring back.
You know
Let's
what?
go.
There it is.
Dev guy, Ottinger resigns with Stars. Is that a given? It's 1,000% a given in my mind. They're
Yes.
not letting him go.
Yep. Completely. It's a given.
Yeah. Alex, any major addition needs to be a surefire elite player. Giving out 3 to 4 million AAV contracts is not a good move. I agree with that. For the most part, I mean, if you're gonna get like Vincent Trocheck in at that number, like take it. But otherwise,
Good luck.
some exclusions apply or whatever. Hunter, I think they should take on bad contracts for picks, kind of like what the Coyotes did last year, since realistically we won't be competitive for another 2 to 3 years. I just don't think that this team is as bad as the Coyotes.
Well, no, here's the thing. I think this is what they should have done last offseason,
Yes.
where you have this year that you've basically burned now that is a year of earning that asset. I think that's something I was really disappointed that Francis did not do in the last offseason, and he should have done. Like Gostisbehere is the top example, really. Um, and but now I don't think that really works for where the Kraken are, because I mean, your premise, since realistically we won't be competitive for another 2 to 3 years, I don't think management believes that. I
Right.
think they believe we're going to be competitive next year. And so the premise just isn't there. Right now, if you take on contracts with assets attached, that doesn't get you any closer to competing this season, which seems to be the number one goal.
I was gonna say, if you think like realistically, okay, McCann stays healthy next year, we find a good spot for him. 30 goals definitely on the table, considering he scored 27 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yanni Gord, 25 goals there. Matty Beniers, if you think he's going to continue playing the way he played at the end of last season, that's a 65-point player, kind of in my mind for sure.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Having that as one of your centers compared to what you had this year, like think of how many games Wenberg was playing in the top 6 role and he finished with 37 points. Double Alexander Wenberg's production in the top 6, and this team is very different when you consider how many 1-goal games they lost, and that's all without factoring in just getting average goaltending. So I think the time is now. I don't know that you want to load up on the bad contracts.
Yeah. No, exactly. And one
and
more
you have
thing
too
with
many
like
picks anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess it's so annoying. It seems like Ron Francis is not too thrilled about that situation. No, he's happy to have the currency, but basically that's what it is. It's currency. And then one more thing I just wanted to talk about, because I saw this, in some corners of Kraken Twitter today, talking about how the Kraken, the idea is basically they won't add any of these top forwards. They're going to go for D instead, because they basically have their top 6 set of like Schwartz, Eberle, Gord, like Wenberg, McCann, and Beniers. And I wanted to say I disagree with that, because that is not a playoff caliber top 6.
No,
absolutely not. And then that didn't make any sense to me. Not to like call anyone out or anything. I just wanted to comment on that.
And what the heck do you do if there's an injury? We saw it this year. Injuries happen in hockey. It's a very physical game. Things happen all the time. What do you do? Because take 2 of those guys out of that lineup. Oh boy, right? Like it's not great. So that's something you need to factor into as well. Gosh, I cannot believe Jordan Eberle is going to be like 33 next year.
I know.
When did
that's one of the reasons I was like, are we sure we want to do this in the expansion draft? Just because I saw the age in the cap hit. But I mean, he certainly doesn't play like it.
No, I know. That's just one that's just making me feel old, just because kind of that 08 draft, 09 especially is when I really got into all the drafts and prospect stuff and everything. So like I remember World Juniors and all that stuff, watching him as like a kid, and now he's like an old man, and I'm getting old. God, I'm not that far away really, the grand scheme of things. It's my birthday's a week away. Clearly it's on my mind.
Yeah, clearly.
All right, so let's see what else we got. Geo Show, what teams in the Pacific do we finish ahead of next season? Sharks and who?
Yeah, I think Sharks.
The
I can't like
Ducks.
the Ducks. You think?
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna take another step forward. You'd think, right?
Yeah, but they're not like they would need like, acquisitions to make this team good. Like cuz okay, you're going to have the Zegras line with like
Hmm.
Troy Terry and Sonny Milano, and then what? Adam Henrique rocking it with Comtois. Like it's not it's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
good.
no, they're not going to be a complete team at all. It just, um, yeah, I will see who they add. I can't confidently say any other Pacific teams, though. I mean, I think they'll finish behind Vegas, certainly. Um,
Calgary,
probably Edmonton.
Edmonton,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, probably Calgary. Um, I don't know. We'll see if how telling this season was for the Kings, but I do think they'll be at least as good as they were this year.
Yeah, I mean they should only get better as the young guys step up.
Yeah, and Vancouver would be the one team I could see also Seattle being better than.
Yeah, me too, cuz they just is there any team that just feels more shaky at any given point of time than the Vancouver Canucks? Like at any moment you can see them going on like a 17 game win streak, but you could also see them losing 32 straight and it wouldn't surprise you.
Yeah, the Canucks are very much like that. I mean, we'll see what the new management. I mean, certainly the Benning Canucks were always like that.
Yeah.
We'll see what the new management does, because that was my whole thing with the Canucks for so long. Is just that like, well, as long as Benning's in charge, they're not going anywhere or doing anything important, so we can kind of write them off. Um, but now that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah. Um, let's see. The Crackies. By the way, Holtby wasn't a trap. He was a missed opportunity.
At his cap hit of what was it 4.1, he was a trap. Because referring to us talking on the expansion draft
Mm-hmm.
redraft, um, and I think did they buy him out? The Canucks bought him out, right?
I believe so.
So I mean, right there, you didn't have to sign him to that contract. I mean, yes, he had a very good year with Dallas this season. How many games did he end up playing? Ended up playing 24. Um, but yeah, still, I think would not have been a good pick at that with that contract.
Yeah. Media, I can't name a player after those three on the Ducks. Well, learn the name Mason McTavish because next year he's going to be
Oh
coming
yeah.
in for sure. Player picked one spot behind Matty Beniers last year in the draft. And I
Hmm.
see Alex down there, Jamie Drysdale. We'll see if next year's the show. I don't think that they're going to unleash him next year. I think their plan is to wait one more.
Really?
Yeah, because that's the Dallas Eakins way.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just saying,
He's coming back, right?
yeah, they would have gotten rid of him by now if they were going to.
Yeah, that's true. And
Um,
I think I saw some announcement he'd be back.
yeah, I really think that their plan is next year is going to be their last like down year, and then the year after that is
Yeah.
the year they take a step forward, and that's your Zegras should be a point per game guy for sure next year. If
Hmm.
assuming every he progresses the way he's supposed to, you get a full season under McTavish's belt. Make sure
Right.
he can be your 2C. And then I think this is the year that maybe you start working on those defensive matchups, put Drysdale in better situations than they have, give him those learning opportunities. Maybe you go ahead and start mixing him in on the first unit power play and stuff. You start having him take over for Cam Fowler, but you pick and choose those spots. Um,
Right. You've got to be careful about that too with development.
yes.
It's such a difficult problem.
Yeah, and you have Cam
But you're right.
Fowler, who is one of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL. Like a guy who can just kind of do it all, play 30 minutes a night. Like at times he was just doing this year. Like he just can because he's good, you know. So I think there's no rush there, and then see if you can get Gibson to figure things out again over the course of this year. Just make it a no pressure year for Gibson. Let him go out there, have fun, try to stay healthy. Don't give him a full workload, all that stuff. Then you come back that following year, and that's when you expect, okay, we've got two top young centers. We get, Gibson back, hopefully healthy and refreshed, at age 30. He doesn't have a ton of time left. We go with that. Drysdale could come in and take over for Fowler's. Fowler's then 31 at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like that's their plan based on everything they've been doing and their prospect pool. They still have arguably, like, in my mind, the best prospect pool out there.
Yeah,
They're
they have
just
a
not ready
fantastic
yet.
prospect. Exactly. You just need some more time. And that timeline would make sense. It's crazy with Drysdale because we've seen so much of him, we forget how young he is. I mean, at the start of next
20.
season, he's still going to be 20 for
Yeah.
most of next season.
Yeah.
It's amazing he's been able to do what he has so far. But yeah, you do have to be careful developing a player like that at the NHL level.
Yeah. So I think the Ducks' future is extremely bright. I think this is the team that, over the next decade we're going to be talking about going up against the Kraken and just being like, gosh, these guys, because they're going to be deep. They're going to have all these prospects. They're going to have like a ton of money too, because that's the other thing. This is a bad free agent year. Don't go out and blow it on a Forsberg or something to come in and play with Zegras. Wait till the next year. You look at every single contract with the exception of 3 will be off the books for the Ducks at the end of next season. They're going to have as much money as they want to spend in free agency to supplement their core at that point. It's going to be crazy.
Yep. No, for sure.
And it's going to be scary as Kraken fans to watch it.
I know. I was just thinking that.
But fun for me if I'm still in SoCal because those tickets are always going to be cheap. So there's that.
Yep. No, we definitely go to some Kraken road games in Anaheim.
Yes. Ty, okay, ready for this? I saw a photo of Broccoli Guy at the T-Birds game. First thing I thought was, holy stuff, they have Lester Averman rooting for them. Mighty Ducks, let's go. Oh, Averman. Yeah, I guess he kind of looks like him, doesn't he?
Huh, yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, but
yeah, I could see
observation.
That. There you go. Yeah, that's a good one, Ty. We got to do something like that over the off season too. Got to do fun streams once the playoffs stop. Like we got to do like movie watch alongs or something. I've never seen Mystery Alaska. It's my chance.
Oh yeah, I've only seen bits and pieces of it. That'd be a fun one.
We'll do like a movie night or something, everybody. Alex, okay, let's try this again. My chat stopped working. Dallas had like 1 million goalies this past season. Holtby, Bishop, Hudobin, Ottinger, Wedgwood too. Yeah, they had 1 million, that's for sure.
Yeah, they really did.
And you know what? They were just fine. Proving RJ's theory of you could just always find goaltending.
You can. You really can.
I know. Speaking of prospects, how long will Riker Evans need for the Kraken? I mean, unless they bring in somebody, I've been saying it for a little while now. I think he's going to be on the Kraken next season. I don't think he's going to get like a ton of minutes next season. You're going to want to ease him into everything. You always want to ease defensemen in if you can. But I think he'll be there. And I think, by the end of the season, if he's there from the start of everything, he'll be running that second unit power play for sure.
Right. And the organization loves him. They're very high on him. They're going to give him every opportunity. And this is like Ron Francis's words. He's going to have every opportunity to earn a spot at camp. And even kind of unprompted when talking about having a defenseman come in who can provide that offense. We've talked about Klingberg. We've talked about Letang, those kind of guys. And we kind of asked him this at the end of the season on that need, bringing in that defenseman. He mentioned Riker Evans' name. He said, now, whether we bring in a guy from outside or whether that's Riker Evans stepping up, it's clearly a position that the organization feels that he can step into and provide that offense that they need. How soon that will happen, don't know, but I would certainly expect to see him play in some games for Seattle next season.
Yeah, and just to put it into like context, we were talking about Drysdale being younger than we think. Drysdale is younger than Riker Evans.
Wow. Yeah, that tells you a lot.
I'm like, how? What?
I'm glad you looked that up. That was
because I thought about it because I knew Evans was an overager when they drafted him, not like overager in the Beniers sense, like true overager. And
no, it was a year over. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. Media, are you guys sure the Kraken are going to sign a big 8 or 9 mil player? That makes me nervous. I'd be more comfortable with a 1 year, $3 or $4 million player. I mean, if you could get a $3 or $4 million contract and keep it to only a year, then I'm okay with those mid-tier signings because you don't have the term attached to it that can become a problem. We talked about this a lot earlier. If it's for one of the two wingers that can come in and score a ton of goals for you, yes, I feel like that's when the Kraken can go big, 8, 9, potentially even up to 10. if absolutely necessary. Other than that, we don't think that they should for Klingberg. Maybe they would though, just to make a splash, but we really don't want them to.
Right. I mean, Forsberg and Gaudreau are the only two that they should go up to that number for. And as for whether they will or not, I've gotten less confident in that over the last couple days. Just hearing some of the insiders talk about teams that may be interested in those guys, and just kind of comparing. I mean, you talk about interest for Philip Forsberg, and if he doesn't go back to Nashville. And I think Boston was a team mentioned there. LA was a team mentioned there. And if I'm Forsberg, you're probably getting decent money from any team you're looking at. Seattle would have to pay a whole lot for me to turn down, say, Boston or LA, given what their situation is.
See, that's weird because like if I'm looking at them, I'd rather, even if Bergeron comes back. Like if Bergeron's not coming back, there's no way I'm going to Boston if I'm him. Like, because like who are you playing with?
You don't have a center.
You don't have a center. Like, who are you playing with? Why would you go there?
Unless they go and like bring in Taves or something and go do something crazy like that.
Yeah. So in my mind, I look, even if Bergeron comes back, I look at Seattle and I say, well, I'd rather play with that group than with the Boston group at this point, because even if Bergeron comes back, he's only coming back for what, a year, 2 at the absolute most. Yeah. How much longer does Marchand have left in him? Not a ton. Like, they don't have prospects in the pipeline that are that exciting. Like, I don't know why you'd sign in Boston unless they're offering significantly more money, or you just want to be a Bruin. The LA one was interesting because I looked at it and I was like, oh, they could actually pull that off, and that would be scary.
It would, and I think it'd be a great fit. Like if you're Forsberg, I would probably go LA over Seattle.
Did he play with Arvidsson in Nashville? Like, were they line mates?
I don't know if they were line mates. Obviously, they were teammates, but I don't know if they were line mates. But that would be an interesting connection there too. If Arvidsson, I'm sure they're buddies. Swedes on the same team usually are. So that'd be an interesting recruiting tool. And then even Colorado's name floated there. I don't believe that at all because they're always in on everything, but they never do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that, but just interesting to think about.
Yeah, and then obligatory, the game's back on, everybody.
Yes, it is.
All right, Tom, what is the most stupid and most savvy move Francis has made as GM, expansion draft included? And I agree with Alex. That is a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
All right. I guess expansion draft, the things that come to mind, the stupid moves were, as we talked about recently, the expansion draft ones where you basically just gave up on the player immediately. Like, Quinville, you just let him walk or whatever, right? Gavin Bayreuther, like, those hurt because, ideally you'd want to get something out of that process.
Right. Yeah, most stupid move I would say is probably the Quenneville pick in the expansion draft, just because there is no like actual defense for it. You basically just passed up on a 3rd round pick. At least some of the other moves that I think might turn out to be the worst when you look at long-term consequences, like let's say a Grubauer or a Schwartz signing. Those are the two I would put in that category.
Or Wenberg, yeah.
Or Wenberg, because the term, I think that's less dangerous. But the ones that might have the worst long-term consequences, at least you can see a potential upside there. I know what he was going for. But on the Quenneville one, there's no defense of it.
Yeah. And then smart move. I mean, I kind of agree with Alex here. Again, the Lauzon trade was pretty darn impressive. I like that one, but I'm going to go a little bit different. If these two things count, picking Matty Beniers.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I know he was talked about in that spot anyway, so it wasn't like, you found him or anything.
But it wasn't a sure thing.
And I'm going to say that if that counts. If that doesn't count, I'm going to say Jared McCann extension.
Ooh, you know what? I like that one. It might be the McCann extension. I mean, that's a really good number.
It's an amazing number. With that term at his age, like, it's incredible.
Yeah, I think that moment might actually be like when I most strongly praised Ron Francis, when I was most pleasantly surprised. So I think I'll go with the McCann extension.
I mean, that moment had us both like on that next podcast going like, if you're McCann, what are you thinking signing this contract?
I know. Who's his agent? Come on. But that's what you always want to see from the GM. And I think that's kind of a hint of maybe more good things to come if you can draft and develop these guys Francis will create this culture where they want to stay and they're willing to take hometown discounts to do that.
Yeah, that and taking Brandon Tanev, being bold with that pick. It's a good one.
I won't go that far yet. I mean, I think it was a good pick, but I won't go that far.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So Alex said the smart move, Lauzon trade, bonehead move, punting on a bunch of expansion draft picks. Yeah, I think we're probably all going to be in agreement. 3 to 4 million for 1 year. That's Mike Hoffman, my boy. Let's go.
Dylan, yes, Dylan would absolutely support that. He's always wants teams to bring Mike Hoffman.
I was gonna say, give me that Kraken Hoffman jersey like right now. Let's do it.
I know you'd buy one too.
I know. From Hunter, the Carson Trawinski pick is the worst for me. Yeah, I mean, just kind of lumped in there with all those rough ones.
Yeah, I mean that one I can defend. We talked about that on the redraft, but I mean, who did I end up picking? Justin Braun. So
yeah,
with a year of hindsight.
Yeah. Ty McCann signing was fantastic timing for our fan base as well. Yes, it was. It really was like a pick me up. And I do think that was kind of a turning point where everybody kind of could shift from, okay, the season has not gone as planned, to there's hope for the future. And we could start looking at that. I do think that was the moment.
That was the moment where everything kind of shifted there, and it just provided this great optimism that, unfortunately, if you're a general Seattle sports fan, only lasted a couple hours, with the Russell Wilson trade happening later that day.
Yeah.
But for those were a great couple hours.
Yeah. And then Ty with he went to Jared. Yes, he did.
Yep.
Love it. All right, let's see here. Got Jeremiah Malkin is going to be a free agent, and he might be a good ad. JT Miller would be an interesting one too, as he plays for the regional rivals. Am I late with these takes? No, we haven't talked about them. We spent a lot of time. I mean, this, technically, we're not supposed to be talking about anything, really. But we've basically ignored the game that's been going on just to talk about the Kraken and stuff. But we haven't talked about the idea of Malkin or JT Miller. So with Malkin. Sure, add Malkin if he's willing to play on a 1 to 2 year contract. But unlike with Letang, I'd feel more comfortable taking on Letang. I just think his body's in a better place. I look at Malkin, and he has had to significantly change his game based on the amount of miles and injuries his body has accumulated.
Yeah, he definitely has to play differently. I think he's done a good job of adjusting to that, as you pointed out to me. But I don't know that he's. I mean, do you think it could make sense? Well, it depends what kind of money he's looking for. Because we've talked about bringing in a Vincent Trocheck, right?
Yeah. Talking
about a center to kind of fill in that slot at basically 2C, where it's Beniers, Trocheck, and then you get into Gord and Wenberg, right? Mm-hmm. But I think Malkin would do well in that spot also. But problem is, are you having to pay him more, significantly more, where you're talking about, okay, you don't necessarily have money for the Forsberg or Gaudreau anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I also felt like because he had his press conference today.
Mm-hmm.
The rumors he turned down $5 million over a 3-year, 5 AAV 3-year deal. He's either leaving for big money or he's going to stay in Pittsburgh. Listening to him talk, he doesn't want to leave. It's clear he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave that group. I think you'd really have to woo him with massive money.
Yeah, and you make a good point too, because also I just don't know that he would even come to Seattle, even if he does leave. Yeah. I think he'd probably, if he were to go somewhere else, what was it, Florida that was floated with, some I think he's going to want to go somewhere maybe with a friend too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the Kraken have never, I believe, had a Russian on the team. I just don't see that as a destination.
You ready for this one?
Okay.
Because, Backstrom's got issues and stuff in Washington. You think he goes to Washington?
I think that would be really cool. And I think that's another possibility of, to play with Ovechkin and all of that. It's something that, during the Crosby-Ovechkin rivalry days, we kind of imagined about, what would it be like if Ovechkin had, Malkin to play with. So I would actually like to see that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it would be. But my guess is he stays local. Northeast anyway. Boston, there you go. There's your center.
Could be.
Stay with the colors.
Yeah, I think Seattle's unlikely for him.
Yeah, and then JT Miller, what's his contract situation like? Is he a UFA or is he an RFA?
No, he's not a UFA. He's beyond the trade block, basically. for this year because he has one more year left on his contract. So
Okay.
he's a UFA next year, and
Okay.
he's got 1 year left. I believe 5.25.
2.5. Yeah. Let's see it here now.
So very affordable, great contract. But
It's a great contract, but in my mind, there's no way Vancouver can let him go.
yeah, I think I don't know. I think they will consider depending on what the return could be. I think they're probably more likely to get rid of Besser. But either way, I don't see Vancouver trading either of those guys to Seattle as a division
No, yeah,
rival.
no. They're
So,
not.
and you would have to acquire them via trade. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, I don't see that happening. I'm just saying, if you're the Canucks, who's your top line center then? If you get rid of Miller.
Well, I mean, Pedersen, but
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? It's all of a sudden it would be in actuality it would be Bo Horvat, and you don't want him as your top line center.
yeah. But
So
also, I mean, with Miller, I think that's also kind of irrelevant given their situation. What it comes down to for them with JT Miller is, do you think you can get some kind of extension done? Because what they can't
yeah,
afford to do is lose him for nothing in a year.
right,
So you've got to know, is he a part of the long-term plan? And if not, you have to move him for whatever you can get.
right, and I think he's going to be part of their long term plan.
Yeah, certainly possible.
Given that Boudreaux seems part of their long term plan, and that pairing seems fantastic, at least from the outside. So
Yeah.
that's let's see, lots of stuff came in here.
Cool.
Go back
Like
up.
in the active chat.
Yeah, Ty. We had a small piece of what the core looks like to Ron. Yeah, I would stay away from Palat. He's aging for sure. That's from Alex. I mean, he's looks pretty good in this playoff run, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those you don't want to give anybody of that age like term if you can avoid it. But
Yeah.
that to me seems like one of those classic mid-tier ones where if you sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal, you're gonna really regret that in 2 to 3 years.
Agreed. And I say that as much as I've been impressed by what he's done in this year's playoffs. I
I
think
know.
certainly compared to like Alex Killorn, who we talked about the two of them a lot together since they were both, exposed in the expansion draft. We were looking at different options. I think Palat would be the better of the two. But yeah, you've got to be cautious with term. And he's also someone that's kind of been floated around just talking at like Kraken media circles. I mean, JT Brown is a fan of his, no surprise being former teammates. So, he's someone that he's floated. Yeah, and that all what I've said, the whole time is just, I would be really wary of term.
Yeah. Alex also pointing out this feels like a regular season game. Yeah, if you mean it's boring, that's how I would describe it too. Sergeant Pickles.
And you just don't have that kind of heated animosity stuff yet. I mean, it does feel like a regular season game in that way.
Sergeant Pickles, those expansion picks only made sense if they could send the majority of them to Coachella. It's like he forgot the team was pushed back a year. Does kind of have that feel to it. Yeah, like you could have picked some more true, like Alexander True. Like that was a good pick because you're just gonna fill out your AHL roster. All right, it works out, whatever. So
yeah,
I agree with that. Four Horsemen, what would the going rate for Malkin even be? He seemed invisible in that last series at stretches. Well, let me tell you, Four Horsemen, that in those 7 games, I believe he had 6 points.
That's not bad.
He did 3 goals, 3 assists, and that's what I'm saying. He completely changed how he plays. I think I described him as Lurch the other day from the Adams family because that's what he looks like. Because he's always been big. He's always sneakily huge. Like I always forget how big he is. But like 6'4", 230 or something incredible like that. Or at least back in the day. And he always plays with his shoulders up high. So he's just got that kind of weird look about him, almost like a goalie. But what he did was he became an East-West player. He can't drive to the net anymore. His knees aren't going to let him do that. He can't have bodies hanging off of him. So a lot of what he's been doing is he just kind of goes around. He sees what's going on because he's so smart. His hockey sense is so high, and he puts himself in the perfect position really to be a shooter is what he did through most of the regular season this year. In the playoffs, he became more of a setup guy. He'd just kind of go where the hole was for the cycle to continue, and he just kept offense moving that way. And it was really kind of the only similar to kind of what Ryan Getzlaf was doing as an aged guy, Joe Thornton, although Joe Thornton still kind of get nasty in front of the net no matter how old he gets. But it's one of those things that a select few players can do as they get older just because they are so smart about how they can play that they can just see everything happen. It's all going in slow motion. They know where to be, and then they can stay effective and be a point per game guy in the regular season or the postseason in Malkin's case, just about. And just play smart by going where the play isn't yet, I guess.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. I will say Malkin on the power play this year for Pittsburgh, fantastic. Playing that low point kind of position. Just absolute sniper on the power play for Pittsburgh this year. I'd love to see that in Seattle if he was to come, although we don't think that's happening.
Yep. Yeah, and Jeremiah agrees that is 100 what has happened to Malkin. What a perfect way to describe his game now. I mean, you've been watching him for a long time. You're pretty focused in on that stuff.
Yeah, I've basically watched his entire career, so I've seen it grow and change and develop in all those ways. But yeah, I don't really know how to describe it other than, yes, you're not noticing him, and that's kind of because he's not doing the things to be noticed.
Yeah, and real quick, as for what the going rate is, I agree with what you said earlier that he'll either take a discount to stay in Pittsburgh or he's going to leave for money. And I think what money means is, I mean, certainly at least 8.
I was going to say 7.5.
7.5? Okay.
Yeah. I think realistically, and I think that's what he can expect, and I think that's what somebody would feel comfortable giving him.
Yeah, and it does depend on term, obviously. If you go short enough term, I think he could hit 8.
Yeah, but you're talking 35. I don't know. 3 years is probably what it'll be. 3 years, 7.5. That's my guess. If he
Fair
leaves.
Enough. Yeah.
Otherwise, I could see it being 3 years in Pittsburgh at 6.5.
Yeah, that's I think about as low as he would go. Certainly not 3 times 5.
Yeah. Media is Gord, not a real 2C. I guess he could go anywhere. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things with Yanni Gord is he can kind of go anywhere. If you're looking to try to score goals and be a high-octane offense, you probably don't want him as your 2C just because his offense at some point is capped just because he is going to be focused on back-checking and playing defense and all of that stuff. Like I said, he can score you 25 goals and stuff, so that's fantastic, and that's why if you can have him as your 3C, it's amazing. But he's not going to be a guy that you can be like, okay, go out there and get us 65 plus points. Like that's just not his game.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those guys where if he's your 2C, you're probably looking at maybe being if everything good is around him, like a playoff kind of bubble team. If he's your 3C, man, you're ready to be a contender. Mm-hmm. So that's ideally where you want him.
Yeah. Sergeant Pickles, much like Gio, who is the veteran they could bring in for leadership. Who could they bring in for leadership on a cheap deal?
Good question.
No.
Yeah, certainly not a cheap deal. But I mean, obviously the Letang Gio comps are there if that's what was to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them bring in another like true veteran, someone even mid to late 30s, just kind of for the leadership, but who can still play.
I'm pulling up the free agent list just to
I know I was just about to do that too.
See somebody that jumps off the page. I mean, obviously there are some names on here that are unrealistic. Patrice Bergeron, that's some leadership. That'll help you out there. Don't know how realistic that would be. Dustin Brown, no.
Yeah, let's see. And also the problem is a lot of these kind of veteran guys are also looking somewhere usually that they can go to chase a cup.
Yeah.
And Seattle hasn't proven itself to be that.
No.
Hey, Ryan Kessler's contract.
I was going to say Kessler's contract. No, I mean,
even though that'll be up.
Looking down the lineup, even like David Perron, again, he's not going to sign in Seattle, but like that would be a savvy veteran pickup guy who could come in and teach guys how to be a little nastier, but in a good way.
Yeah. How about my boy Darren Helm? It would not be a good fit. I will say that right away. But I've always been a fan of Darren Helm. So,
yeah, I don't really see any names that would make sense for that this year.
Well, he's 35. Does anyone who's 35 qualify?
Yeah, I would.
Trevor Lewis.
Yeah, Trevor Lewis is a great example. But
and you brought his name up first when we were talking the other day. Credit to you on that.
That's true. I forgot about him. Yeah, no, that one would be fantastic. If you could swing it. Again though, why would he join this team unless you're overpaying him?
Yeah, I don't know. That would be what you'd have to do. I don't know. Keith Yandel.
Well, I was just gonna say, what about Edler? Alexander Edler. saw what he was able to do with the Kings. He looked okay, brought a stable, leadership role to that defensive core that desperately needed it in Doughty's absence, and kind of stabilized it and made it okay. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he did a good job with that.
If he was, I know that, I know you don't like to take this into account. If he was right-handed, I would say 100%. But I think that's something that, even though it doesn't matter to you, matters to the Kraken.
That's yeah.
Justin Braun,
Maybe
right-handed. Well, you
right?
talked about switching out those bottom two defensemen with veterans.
Yeah, yes, and he qualifies. I just don't know that you're getting leadership from him.
Yeah, yeah.
The question being about leadership, that's what I'm looking.
You're getting a quieter type of leadership, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's
yeah.
I don't know that there's really a big guy that's gonna jump off the page.
Has anyone in the chat mentioned PK Subban yet? No.
I mean, I thought about it, but yeah.
No, you don't want to do that.
I think he might retire anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see.
I mean, he's got a fantastic career ahead of him.
Oh yeah.
As soon as he retires, from hockey.
Yeah.
He could do whatever he wants to do.
All right, let's see. Where are we? Reading ID now. McCann just wanted to buy a house and not move again. Well, that's what he said.
Basically, yeah, he just wanted to stay.
Yeah. I'm probably the one person, raised in LA that takes people at their word. And I'll take him at his word on that one. Alex, how about Phil Kessel? He'd definitely be affordable. He would. I don't think he wants to leave Arizona.
No, I don't think he does either. They've got too many great golf courses.
Yeah.
And with the sunshine, I don't see Kessel signing here.
Yeah, and I'd be in favor of it. I love it. Get hot dogs on the press bridge every night. Every night. Jeremiah, I think the Pittsburgh ship has sailed. The Fenway Sports Group is all about the analytics. Yeah, that's what we've been hearing. We'll see. I think that they would make an exception if it was like, hey, we're gonna bring back Letang and Malkin and go for it again. Because how do you not?
Right, it's a different situation. I know. I'm sure in general they want to be that way, but for franchise icons like that, and especially something that would keep Sidney Crosby happy, there are always exceptions.
And again, you just went to overtime Game 7 in a series in which you were using your third string goaltender or your starting goaltender playing with a broken foot, and you missed Crosby for a couple games. The team is still good, so there's no reason to kind of blow it up yet.
Yeah.
Sergeant Pickles, is McCann not a true center? I don't think he is.
I think he can be, and I think if you had a team that was deeper, that's what I would look to kind of make him as a center, because he can, without a lot of help from the wings, be a really effective third line center, I think, on a contending team. But given where the Kraken are at, I think it's probably best to have him project as a winger longer term.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I mean, look, I like the defense he can playing in the center position and stuff. I just feel like when looking at when he was at his most effective, when he was at center, he never gelled with anybody playing on his wings. It was just him creating his own offense all the time, and he felt separate. When he was playing on the wing, he felt like he was part of the unit, and was able to kind of do stuff and in that sense. So that's, for me, tells me that he needs to be on the wing.
Yeah. Finally seen a little nastiness here with Ross Colton and I believe that's Ben Sherratt.
Are we? I'm on commercial.
Oh, well, I'm behind you then.
I'm watching the Matthew Stafford AT&T commercial for the 1 trillionth time.
Life-changing.
Is it? Yeah, okay. Let's see. Where were we now? Jeremiah, I would love to see Malkin on the Caps roster. It would be a fun time.
Yeah, it would be.
Sergeant Pickles, also, I felt multiple times this year they needed a fourth line specialist, face-off specialist, like a Glendening. Yeah.
Couldn't hurt.
I don't think it could. If you can find one of those, get them cheap. They're always available, seemingly.
Yeah.
That's what Geeky was supposed to be.
Exactly. That's Geeky was supposed to be. I think you could probably upgrade there.
Yeah. Jeremiah pointing out, yeah, per Russian machine never breaks. Backstrom may never come back. I know. I want him to come back, but yeah, basically his injury situation is not sustainable to continue to play.
Yeah,
that is
it's
certainly
a
what it
shame.
sounds like right now, and it's very very unfortunate. Um, Sergeant Pickles, I need Dylan's take on the fact that Yager and Malkin uh, uh, are completely overshadowed by players on their own teams. I know it's frustrating. I'm sure it's got to be frustrating for those guys. I think the winning helps. I think that second group of cup wins, the back-to-back years, really helped out Malkin a lot because they're, right around that time, RJ, if you remember, there were rumors of them potentially moving him, in part because maybe he'd want to go and be the star somewhere that he could
Right.
be, and just because at that point Penguins had gone, 5+ years without winning, and all the playoff struggles. It was just kind of like, do you shake things up in that way? I think those helped alleviate that a lot. Those additional cups, being able to have 3 rings on your finger matter a lot. Whereas Yager, they had the 2 early on for Yager, and then after that, it was just kind of, what it was. Then with Lemieux, there were times when Yager was the guy just because of all the injuries and stuff Lemieux had to go through. But I think that ultimately just became about money. That's why Yager
Right.
left. Pittsburgh couldn't afford to pay him. With Malkin, though, I feel like Malkin eventually settled in to that, being a star in his own right, but being in the shadow of Crosby. And I think he learned to appreciate the benefits that can also bring, not
Right. Grass
necessarily
isn't
always being
always
the guy.
greener on the other side. When you're a star and you don't necessarily have the same kind of supporting cast.
Yeah.
And I think also we got opportunities without Crosby
Mm-hmm.
when Crosby was injured at various times. I mean that was definitely a lot more common in the past than it has been recently.
Yeah.
But you take some of those years, especially in his prime, Malkin without Crosby, or even with him, but in the playoffs. I think Crosby certainly has been the better player of the two over the course of his career. But I think at both of their peaks, I think Malkin may have been the more dominant player.
Probably. He wasn't as complete as Crosby. Like Crosby was always going to bring you
Not
that
as complete,
defense. Yeah.
but purely dominant, as in it's
Yes.
just impossible to defend.
Yeah, because he was so big. There was nothing you could do. He was just going to
Yeah,
come in and he was going to do whatever he wanted to do because he was just that good.
yeah.
Um, Absolutely
Things we haven't
incredible.
really
But
seen since like the likes of Lindros before,
yeah,
with that kind of size and skill combination.
yeah. And skating. I mean, he's a better skater than Crosby.
Yeah,
He is. Like I know that's crazy because everybody talks about Crosby's like lower body strength and how strong he is on his skates and stuff. But like from a fluidity standpoint, like it's Malkin all day. Um, so yeah, I just think he ended up liking, he was able to like have a family and do that and go to Russia in the off seasons and stuff and not have to worry about things. And I think he just did it. And as he said today, Sidney Crosby's his best friend, and so you get to play with your best friend longer. Like, what is that really a bad thing?
yeah. No, it's
Like, so
uh,
I think at the
yeah,
end of
it's a
the day,
good time.
that's all right.
By the way, you all are, I'm sure, just making Dylan's day, him getting to talk about
I know.
Malkin and Crosby all this time.
I don't know that I ever showed them off, but I have like 2 floating shelves on either side. My desk faces a corner of my room, and
Mhm.
I have floating shelves on both sides there, and one on each. I have little Crosby and Malkin on both sides, so they're like I'm kind of centering this line of the 3 of us, and so I would grab them if they were a little easier to
Your dream
grab right
setup.
now.
Yep.
But so yes, I'm very happy to be talking about these guys. Can't look at the Crosby because it's right where my light is, but stare into the sun. Um, all right, let's see. Alex, I'll have to confirm with JBB, but I don't think they're on the market. Killorn and or Sergachev potential trade candidates from the Bolts side. For me, Nick Paul is likely returning. I agree on Paul there. He's definitely coming back. Do you think they move Sergachev?
They could. We've talked about this on earlier streams, how we felt that Sergachev had kind of looked disengaged at times in this playoffs. Although in the last 2 games of the Toronto series, it got better. I got to look at what the contract is, because everything that Tampa's going to do is going to be cap driven.
Yeah.
Um,
Good looking Florida power play there, or
I
rather
remember
bad looking
correctly.
kill from Tampa.
Yeah.
Just
If I remember correctly, Sergachev's on a pretty good deal. Okay.
he's got
So he's
one more
got
year
1
at
year left.
4.8.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, you could move him then. I mean, it's up because you still have what 3 more years of team control.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that I'd be kind of eager to move him if I'm Tampa, but it's something they certainly could explore, especially if you need assets to kind of go replenish. I mean, you look at the draft board; it's pretty darn empty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a possibility.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So there's the talk about how I nicely described Malkin, just rolling right into then Alex. Malkin looked like a shell of himself. Was not even a factor on the power play in the playoffs, at least. I would disagree with that. I think the numbers would disagree with that too. Like I said, it's just not sexy. He was not doing anything to make himself look like a star.
Yeah, but
But
getting the
driving
job
possession,
done.
yeah. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, that's all it is.
Hey, there we go. 2-0. Oh no, it didn't go in. I
Yeah, it
thought I
did
saw the
go
net
in.
move.
Nope.
I could have sworn I saw the net move.
I'm
All
at
right.
550 right now.
Okay, I'm at 610. So
Hey, Absurdly Sane, how's it going? Jeremiah, yeah, I think Malkin gets in the 7 to 8 range. I agree. Alex, Evgeny Malkin, captain of the Arizona Coyotes. I mean,
what a concept.
if he really wants to go full old man with,
I
bad
say
knees.
if he wants to follow in the footsteps of Louis Erickson and bring some leadership to Arizona.
Gotta go. I mean, hey, Tom Brady's talked about how getting out of that cold has helped his body and stuff recover.
Yeah.
Maybe
That'll happen
Malkin
in a
has
few
some
years
skin.
once Matthews goes there and Malkin goes there to be the 3C.
Yeah. God. Let's see, Jeremiah. Not sure if this is still current, but Ovechkin had major beef with Malkin's agent to the point where he punched him in the face. This occurred in Russia and hasn't been reported on a ton. I do vaguely remember that. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that too.
Because they kind of had like a rivalry. Because they haven't always like they're friendly, but I've never thought of them as like chums. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I haven't either. I mean, they're yeah, exactly. Wasn't it the friendliest thing I remember is like at the All-Star game where Malkin helped Ovechkin put on the whole Canada tourist thing.
Yeah, but that was really early on in their careers. Because that was like because that was what 09, so that was right after the Penguins had just won, but it was kind of before that rivalry got supercharged. Because that was that the next year into the 2010 playoffs that you have that like the one that really cemented the rivalry.
Yeah. Well, hey, better than Malkin having punching Ovechkin's agent in the face because Ovechkin was his own negotiated his own contract this last time around.
Yeah, that is true. And just before we get too far away from it, I will point out Reading ID bringing up a good point of Malkin did have that triple overtime winner back in game 1. So
yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
he showed up when needed. Jeremiah, Bergeron retires if he's not back with Boston. Brown has said he's retiring. Perron's a great player. I would pay him in a New York minute. Yeah, no, I knew Bergeron and Brown were definitely out. But I've always loved Perron. I think he's fantastic. Always scores. Just like Mike Hoffman.
Yep, so reliable. Yeah, but Perron, so reliable. He just doesn't seem to fit the aging curves either. He just keeps on going, keeps on scoring. Would definitely bring him in if he was interested. Just don't think he would be.
Yeah, reliable like Mike Hoffman. Tell me I'm wrong.
Keep pushing it.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Huh?
Tell me I'm wrong. I'm as I search for his numbers so I can tell you how consistent he is.
Go for it.
All right.
For it.
Name the last season in which he played 70 plus games and he didn't get 20 goals or more.
Well, I'm trying to think of just seasons where he played 70 plus games. You have to go back a little ways, don't you?
Yeah,
you have to go back to the Ottawa days?
No. First year in Florida. First year in Florida. He played 69 the second year in Florida, so that's not bad. Got 29 goals in that one. Because I was going to say, it's never happened. He's never played 70 games and not gotten over 22 goals even. So I'm just saying, he's the model of consistent scoring. Even these last 2 years. Last year in St. Louis, he played 52 games, but if you remember, it was a 56-game season.
Mm-hmm.
Basically played the full season, had 17 goals. Like, he doesn't get hurt, and all he does is score. He's the perfect player.
No, I mean, he's
his
yeah,
face,
and he's still
His
Uh huh.
beard is like a teddy bear too. It makes his face look like a little teddy bear. It's great.
Dylan making the case. I just looked up his contract though, and I don't think I want any part of that for the production. But
Yeah, yeah, probably not.
4.5 mil.
Hey, would you rather have him at 4.5 or Wenberg?
Well, probably Hoffman, but
All right,
you
there
were
we go.
quick on that.
I was. Let's see. Let's see. You guys should make an NHL 22 video with Seattle free agent wish list. Yeah, of course that would
Yeah, and
require
we will.
giving
Yeah,
EA
go ahead.
money.
Oh yeah, no. So okay, yeah, we can't do that. That would be against our morals here.
A blood pact we made years ago.
Yep, not to give EA Sports any more of our money. Um, but yeah, we will definitely go and do some deeper dives into the free agency and whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah, Alex pointing out Sherratt with the Darnell Nurse on Colton. I did see that. I mean, we know what that means now. It's a game suspension.
Oh yeah, they were kind of like at each other. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll get the suspension.
Sorry,
It
hang
didn't
on,
look as
hang
bad.
on one sec. I will be right back.
Okay.
Just hold down for a sec. Sorry, Dylan.
Oh. Let's see. Sergeant Pickles, that's why you belong in Seattle, Dylan. You're too kind and trusting for LA. I really am. Um, I'm wily enough not to be taken advantage of, but I do want to see the goodness in people, and yeah, not a lot of that going on down here. Jeremiah, yeah, I wouldn't blow up Pittsburgh, but I'm not sure the new ownership will stand pat. They've lost in the first round 4 years in a row. I know this year just looks so different. Just looks so different. I think that they'd do it. Um, Also, like, I don't know how quick the new ownership group will really be in there and making moves and all that kind of stuff. Like that's the kind of deal that takes a very, very long time. And yeah,
I don't can't imagine me leaving would have messed that up.
no.
So I leave for a second and Tampa ties it.
Yeah. There we go. All right, back.
All right, we back?
Sorry, everybody. Anyway, I was just saying if with new ownership coming in, it takes a little time for everything to get finalized and go down. You might as well keep the age core together if you can, and keep Hextall and Berkey in there to go with them until you can install your own team and everybody that you want. Jeremiah, the Canadian commercials have a lot of Elliot Freeman, I'm told, as I live in Alaska. Interesting.
Huh.
I wonder what commercials
yeah.
he's doing. Geo show, the talk before the season was that Seattle could weaponize its cap space. Was that not the plan, or was it just poorly executed? Seems like we punted on this to the off season. It wasn't executed well.
It was not executed well, and to the point where Seattle just didn't do it. At no point have the Kraken ever weaponized their cap space, right? In the
No.
history of their franchise, they've never done it. So it just wasn't done.
Yeah. Jeremiah pointing out Malkin has a heart and a Conn Smythe, not behind anyone who watched hockey, not in the shadow. I don't know. I still think he's a little bit in the shadow of Crosby, but yeah,
Only with the coverage, you know.
Yeah, he did cement enough of himself. That being said, wasn't on the NHL's top 100 all-time players list, and he clearly should have been. So,
yeah,
I guess he was. Four Horsemen, these live streams are fun. Looking forward to more. Gotta run. Hey, thanks for joining us while you can. You're probably already out of here. Sorry. Let's see. Sergeant Pickles, can you guys explain why the league won't get rid of the Kucherov playoff cap rules? I know it didn't pay off for Vegas, but still crazy that it's even possible. I guess because you can't. It's one of those things where it's like you can't really prove that that's what's happening. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think changes will be made at like the next CBA negotiations, but it's one of those things where you can't. It's really hard to make a change to that kind of thing on the fly when you're not negotiating a new CBA. So practically, that's probably why it hasn't been changed. I think there will be some changes to that next go around, but for the time being, it's here to stay. And also because I think there's a lot of attitude with GMs where like, okay, look, this could benefit me someday. Yeah. It's something that every team could potentially take advantage of, and so I don't think they see it as necessarily unfair.
I will say that, I mean, is the happy compromise that if a guy is on LTIR for X amount of games up to the end of the season. He just can't play round one.
Hmm.
Like
Maybe.
if he's on LTIR for 30 games and that includes through the end of the regular season, he has to sit out round one. Is that like a good kind of compromise? That way he can still play in the playoffs if you can get out of round one without him.
I think it would be a good compromise, but I don't think it would ever. I don't think the sides would ever agree to it because you'd have the counter argument of like, look, you're making and whether it's from the PA or whoever, you're making a healthy player sit games because why? You know, because there was some kind of loophole or something.
Healthy
Um,
players sit games all the time. They're called scratches.
yeah, well, yeah, but they're never league imposed.
No, but
So
it's not a suspension. I mean, the player's getting paid, so how upset can the PA really get?
yeah, I mean, I think it might be a good. I'm trying to think what teams would do in that situation. I do think like you take the Lightning and who had Kucherov out. I think they would just sit him in the first round.
Yeah, they would have. Like some teams would make that gamble and say, okay, we think we're good enough to get out of the first round anyway, and other teams would just make sure that they have the cap space to activate them on the last day of the regular season.
Yeah,
But that's what it is. You just make the teams
it
have to make
actually
that
goes to
choice.
do a trade off. Yeah,
Yeah, you just have to make a choice. And our choice is great. Don't we want that in life? We don't want to be told what to do. We want choices.
yep.
Um, let's see. Jeremiah, no way Tampa moves Sergachev. They move McDonough before they move him. Uh, I don't know. I could see it happening. I could see them moving on from Sergachev.
This
Uh,
puck moving on the power play, good stuff.
Sergeant Pickles, on that note, are Vegas completely screwed because of their cap and draft pick situation? I mean, they're not
No,
in a
they're not.
great spot, but they're still going to be a really really good team if everybody's healthy.
Right. I mean, there are ways out of it. You saw it with the Dodonov trade that ended up not happening, but if you just shed that salary, they should be fine. And you might have to get rid of another one like a Carrier or something, but they'll be okay. They can do that cap maneuvering. Riley Smith is all but gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that should help sort things out. But they're in a fine situation. It's not easy, but they'll be okay.
I was gonna say Riley Smith's contract did technically expire at the end of the regular season, so he is gone.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. He's
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to find a way to re-sign him.
yeah. Um, let's see, Sergeant Pickles. I was actually really hoping Francis was gonna do a side deal at the expansion draft for McDonough. I mean, that would have been a good veteran presence on the blue line. I think better than Gio ultimately worked out.
Yes, but you're passing on Yanni Gord likely if you do something like that too, and I don't know that that would have been worth it.
Yeah. Braun, Al Dillon, sorry about your yucky pens. I know it sucks, but I've also been able to talk lots about them today. That's been nice. Um, Alex, 2012 for Mike Hoffman? Question mark. Oh, for like the last time he played like a full season without getting 20 goals, maybe.
Yeah, a
It might
decade
be
ago.
that long ago. Yeah. Um, Braun, what's our Blue Jacket update? We, we got nothing to report because we don't talk about him without you, Braun. We know how upset that would make you, and we don't want to do that to you. Um, Sergeant Pickles, any chance we can organize an ECH summer hockey game? Uh, was that
Oh, at
Judkins
Judkins Park,
Park
that'd be
in
cool.
Seattle? Ball hockey
That'd be
courts?
cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I'd find a way up there for that.
I was gonna say if you'd have to be there, like it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the same without you.
Alex, power play for Bolts. Did they get the goal on the power play? I
I
didn't
don't
see the goal, so
power play goal. Yeah, I don't know, but he's playing. What a beauty of a goal! Yeah, and then RJ, you must leave again. I'm sorry. Yeah, because I guess my leaving caused them to score. So
that's how it goes. Um, let's see. Except Perron could play two ways. He's in incredible shape and has great agent Alan Walsh. Also, Perron's the only guy to sign with the same team, but have been on different team Blues three
yeah,
times. Yeah, that's true. Just keeps
yeah,
coming
with the
back.
Vegas expansion draft. Yeah, weird to think he was in Vegas for that year.
Yeah. Microsoft commercials for Elliot Freeman. So
Interesting.
interesting. Jeremiah, I wish the league would get rid of the cap or move to a luxury tax, maybe closer to the NBA model. And it's proven it would make the owners more money. I mean, I don't know that it's proven that it would make the owners more money, just because like it's hockey. They're not going to make money no matter what happens. But
Right, and I think you also need that kind of growth in the game. Like you look at the NBA model, but you also have like crazy amount of growth in the NBA that I
yes,
don't know you can replicate in the
right,
NHL.
right. Well, they could. They choose not to.
I don't think that would realistically happen,
No, I think the
given
time.
that it all is what it is.
Yeah, the time passed, and the NHL. I mean, you can go back to it. Mid '90s, NHL and NBA had the exact same viewership, and they took very different paths from there because of their marketing strategies. And yeah, I don't know that you could ever go back to it. But at the end of the day, what helps the NBA? I know that the kind of super teams was good for the NBA in that little bit because it meant you had like a team like the Warriors that everybody's rooting against, and that kind of draws things. But at the end of the day, what has driven all of the growth for the NBA in the last 20 years has just been embracing their star players, getting their names and faces out in front of you at all times, and making you want to watch the best in the world play that sport. And the NHL is not good at doing that at all.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, I go back to this. This drove me crazy last year. The top, like, was it Adidas commercial? And it was literally Connor McDavid talking, and they were only showing his mouth. It cut him off at the nose, and it was only his mouth. And I'm like, why? You literally are dedicating a whole commercial to Connor McDavid, and you're not gonna show us his face, so that nobody will know what he looks like, and nobody's gonna want to embrace him. Like that's the stuff. Now that you're on ESPN and ESPN is showing hockey more and they're showing highlights on Sports Center, that's the stuff you got to do. You got to embrace the Zegras stuff, which NHL's
Yep.
reluctant to do, and you got to embrace your stars and making them bigger than life. And the NHL traditionally has never wanted to do that.
Oh, and the star players have also not really always been in on it too.
No.
Yeah, when the stars that they've had have also just been kind of, kind of trained from this young age to be very just straightforward, out of the box, canned answers, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I do think you're starting to get better ones. Like McDavid's not a good example, but Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, they got personality. They could go out there and do that.
Yeah.
If you let them. Let's see. The other thing is, I don't know that there'd be enough owners that would want to go to a luxury tax system. Like, I don't know that it would result in more money for the players, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think you'd have enough. There's certainly owners that would want to. Although, didn't we just have Alan Walsh in the comments earlier? He certainly would support that.
He would support it, yeah. I just think we just talked about the Fenway Group behind Pittsburgh, right? Listening to that 32 Thoughts podcast, talking about how they moved on from Mookie Betts because the money didn't make sense. Like, that's a big time. They got deep pockets, but they're still not going to spend all day long, and that's coming from a sport with a luxury tax. So,
yeah,
just the way it is. Media, I've heard that they want stars to play in the playoffs if they can. Do you mean? I mean, this is early for the conversation we just had, so that's why did they just mean Dallas?
Yeah, clarify.
Yeah, no. See, Hagel's face is a stick magnet. What the heck? He's going to the dirty areas. That's what you do.
Yep.
Gotta
It shows
put
you're
yourself
going
out
to
there.
those spots.
Yeah, those are badges of honor. each one of those. Jeremiah, hey guys, I don't normally do this, but I'm a coordinating producer for the Shakedown Sports podcast and my own show. I'd love to have you guys on my Saturday show to talk playoff hockey, less than an hour. I guess the best place to do that is reach out to us on Twitter about that, and then we'll talk about it more there. And then Alex, escrow system suppressing cap growth is really hurting a number of contending teams. Agreed. The escrow system's a nightmare, certainly for the players. It's not good. I think the disastrous handling of the national TV rights deals by the league was a fiasco too. Like, if they just get that deal done a year sooner, it is so much higher, and we are not talking about the cap being like this at all.
Right.
That one was on Gary.
And that's a game changer for sure.
Alex, on a separate note, I love the Car Shield commercial with ROR and Patty Maroon. Why am I
Ryan
spacing?
O'Reilly.
Ryan, okay, thank you. I'm like, why am I spacing on who this is? That sounds like a good one. The only Ryan O'Reilly commercial I get is the Great Clips one, and I liked when it was him and Kaprizov going against each other because it was like they were competing for the Great Clips commercials for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
That's really
And
what's at stake.
yeah, and then Alex mentioned the Ovi Backstrom insurance commercial. I like that one too. Like, what would happen?
I know that's arguably. I mean, I'm trying to think, RJ, greatest hockey commercials all time.
Oh no, they used to be way better.
I mean, they used
My
to be
greatest
good.
hockey
Yeah.
commercial all time, the one where they're all at the hotel,
Yes.
pulling the pranks on each other.
Yes.
You
That
know,
one.
Ovechkin orders all the room service to Crosby's room. Joe Thornton's eating the chocolates. They got Marty Turco in the hallway playing mini sticks. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was the best one as far as I'm concerned.
That one. That one. I still think reigns supreme. I would put this Ovi Backstrom up there though. Like
You know, it's
it's
very good.
really good. Um, gosh, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. I did always like the ones where it was like, showing that it was time for hockey season, and they show people like getting hurt at various stages throughout the season, and how like over the course of a season you just don't feel pain anymore. Be like something minor would happen and the person would be like, and it was game 1 of the season, and then it was like game 53 or whatever, and like the hood of their car would fall down on their fingers, and they're just like, like
Wow. I don't remember those.
those
What
were
was
versus days.
Yeah. Was it the I like the Sports Center one. Was it the Sports Center, the little teaser thing with Ovechkin and the Russian spy thing?
Varlamov, yeah.
Varlamov, yeah, that was
Yeah,
a good one too.
lowering him in. All those This is Sports Center commercials were always the best. There was the
Yeah.
Lundqvist one with Swedish Chef from the Muppets.
Oh yeah.
That one was really good too because he's like translating this nonsense. Gotta love that one. All right, let's see. Quick question: do you keep all your draft picks and draft young guys who can skate, or would you prefer to trade a few picks for veteran guys? We talked about this earlier. Mix of both. You don't really want to have to make all these picks. It's a lot. If you can leverage them into some guys that can help you out next year, be a playoff contender, you do it.
Yeah, I think you take a couple second rounders, maybe a third rounder, and have that as kind of your money that you go out and get to fill needs.
Yeah. Jeremiah agreeing with the NHL marketing strategies, yeah, or I guess we could say lack thereof. Uh, Robert, are there guys on Knights roster who appeal to trade for what they might want to trade for? I don't know that there's a deal in place for the Kraken. Looking at their roster,
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, Dodonov is the one that I could see because there would be a significant asset attached to.
yeah,
And I know it probably is like a second round pick or whatever, and you don't need more of those. But seriously, you could always go flip that for another player. It's an asset, and he can score goals.
yeah. Let's see. Sasquatch NHL, what's up? What's up, ECH? I'm late, but I made it. Florida needs to stop taking penalties tonight, trying to avoid chores here at home and sneak in more hockey. Cheers, guys. Hey, glad you could join us. Yeah, no, I mean, I do that all the time.
Yeah, no, thanks for dropping by, Sasquatch. And yeah, Florida does need to. They're playing with fire with those penalties.
But their PK's been on it tonight for the most part.
It has, for the most part, yeah.
Reading ID, Connor Carrick tweeted about watching the Panthers game with interest after playing with the Checkers. I'm very curious what that's been like. Yeah, I mean, playing with a bunch of guys in that system, I got to think you'd have an interest in it.
Yeah, I mean, former teammates, you got to, you're rooting for them. And yeah, Carrick, I mean, he, still very active on Twitter too. He's got a good personality. Shame we didn't get to see him. Like, he must have been one of those guys that was injured, right? When the Kraken brought in Pouliot and just kind of needed a warm body. Because I would have liked to see Carrick.
Yeah, there's no way. Unless they were worried about losing him on waivers.
Which, no, I don't think he would.
I don't think he was in that position. So, yeah. All right. Love for the Sports Center commercial. Reading ID, looks like this is the quote from him. Playing for split affiliate Charlotte Checkers, Seattle and Florida, it's been insightful to learn about certain players and habits within the Panthers organization. Interested to see the first game. So, it's I mean that's a hockey player quote if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, those certainly. But I think that does kind of help also because you see two organizations' approaches to things.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone I would definitely like to see in a leadership position with the Firebirds next season, and someone who can help create that culture. And you take little things about the way that different AHL organizations run.
Hmm. Robert, what does Riley Smith have in value? Um, I mean, look at any top six Kraken forward this year. It's probably
Basically, yeah. I mean, that's what you're looking at. I think he's one of those middle tier of forwards, that free agent forwards that you're going to have, probably going to sign a Schwartz like contract. How old is he?
he's getting 91, so
What?
he's
Oh,
31,
okay,
30. Yeah.
yeah.
No, he's that.
Um, yeah. So let's see, 31. Um, yeah. So I think you're looking at probably a Schwartz like contract for him.
Hmm. And I don't think you want to do that if you're the Kraken.
No.
I wouldn't want to do that if I was anybody realistically.
No, he's supposed to be one of those pieces that kind of puts you over the top if you're a contending team.
Yeah. Um, Jeremiah, Rob Ray Melrose one is good. I'm trying to remember that one, the Sports Center ones. But the New Jersey Devil on the elevator and Jay Harris asking if he's going up is epic.
Oh,
Yeah,
I remember. I like that
one's
one.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Alex, I don't think the leak worked. I don't know that you can put in a link actually. YouTube.
I tried that with
keep
the
that
Dustin
from
Brown
happening.
thing the other day. It didn't
Yeah.
work.
So sorry, Alex. I'll look it up later. Sergeant Pickles, does Ron use a lot of the picks because he has to fill out Coachella? I mean, that's part of it, but you can also just sign a bunch of guys to AHL level deals and fill it out.
Right, and also you're looking at, if you're not talking maybe a first round pick or an overager second round pick, most of these guys that you're going to draft are not going to be in Coachella next year.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised to see none of them in Coachella next year.
Yeah.
Just given the nature of how it works with drafted players, usually they're going back to junior for another year or two.
Yes. Is it a rule?
I believe there is
it is a rule. Yeah.
For under 20 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't unless they're really an overager.
Yeah.
Like 2 years overager.
Yeah. Connor Carrick for capital draft pick. I mean, maybe you could make that trade. Or
Sure.
traded for the big rig in Toronto. Winnick.
Daniel Winnick still playing?
Is he? I'm trying to. Oh, he's saying Connor Carrick was a Capitals draft pick, traded for the big rig in Toronto. Big rig was never in Toronto.
Oh, and Winnick.
Clarify.
Yeah, clarify.
Please. Alex, Biz just crushing Red Bull during intermission. Okay.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. You know, just as I was starting to like kind of, at least in my own home, comment on him and say that, okay, you know what, he's getting better, like he's like palatable and stuff. I was liking the strides he was making on TNT. Then he had that night the other night on Twitter where he said a bunch of not so great stuff and reminded me why I didn't like him that much. And now it seems like he's just back to being whatever.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment there. I did think he was getting better for a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, as an analyst, he was starting to get better. He was talking about the actual game and like the game within the game.
What a concept.
Passing, yeah, I know, passing off pads and stuff. You know, talking about doing those drills in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton and stuff. Like that's the stuff you want from the guys on the.
And he's got a lot of good experience you can draw from.
He does. Just yeah. Let's see. Okay, so
apparently Winnick was the big rig. Winnick is the guy that
Yeah.
Caps got for Carrick. Okay.
Okay.
No, I remember Daniel Winnick, a
Yeah.
former Shark for a very brief time.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's just one of those guys where they just, you know, they hit like 1,000 teams and then they're gone. You know?
Oh no, totally. He bounced all around. He was a Shark for 21 games.
The Riley Shahan types.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. Coachella is going to help the Kraken out so much just to have all their players in one place. Yeah, no, that's going to help out a lot. Having it on the West Coast, making that easier, hopefully, when guys are needed, all that stuff.
Yeah,
be nice.
Real quick, Dylan, how about, did you hear about the Stockton Heat?
No.
They're the team's going to leave Stockton.
What?
The Flames want to have their AHL affiliate closer.
All right, well then I can understand.
So, yep, goodbye Stockton Heat.
All right. There we go. It's a shame I never got to see a game there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all right.
How many trips did you make to Stockton during the time they were there?
Well, to Stockton as like to be in
Okay,
Stockton,
okay,
or
yeah, yeah.
passing through on the 5 on my
Through
way up.
Stockton, yeah.
Yeah, lots of times through Stockton while they were there. But they got the water tower in Stockton that shows all the teams they have on it, and it'll be a shame to see their logo taken off all those other clip art looking logos.
Yep. What a shame.
Alex, Red Deer Heat, here we come. Is that really where they're going? Yeah, Abbotsford is where I always thought of the Flames, having guys.
Yeah, but with the Abbey Canucks
Mm-hmm.
now, it won't be that.
Um,
Oh yeah, did you see the Red Deer Rebels tweet the other day?
no.
They just said pray for Red Deer, talking about it was quote tweeting something with the Battle of Alberta,
Oh,
because Red Deer, of course, is
yes.
right in the middle of Calgary and Edmonton.
Yes. And do the Sutters still own that team? The family?
I think they do. I haven't heard anything different.
And like run all aspects of it, like, so I mean they've kind of
It'd be a
by
fun 2 weeks
default
to spend in Red Deer.
by default that they've chosen a side.
Yep.
um let's see. I would love like a Justin Williams as an analyst, Alex saying, or Brent Burrs Doughty when they retire. Justin Williams would be fun. Although
Yeah,
he
he
might
would
be
be.
too fun.
Yeah, that could be a problem. You can't have that.
I think he'd be fun in an actual fun way, not fun in a whatever
Yeah, yeah.
Biz is doing kind of way. Um, let's see. Jeremiah, he's one of the nicest guys. I spent a couple days this year, took tons of photos, never said no to a single person. Really great guy. Talking about Biz. I mean, look, I think he's great with fans and stuff. I just think sometimes he can, you know, go off on certain tangents or rants that you don't need to be going off on.
Mhm.
Saying stuff to
Yeah.
people on Twitter you don't need to be saying to people.
Yeah.
Red Deer Heat, we've talked about that. Are the coaching staff on thin ice? From Robert. Assuming you talk about the Kraken coaching staff, yes, is the answer, I think.
Yes, but they're pretty. They're assured at least the start of next season, but they cannot afford a weak start.
Yeah. Let's see. I think you guys were talking about hockey commercials right as I hopped on. Not sure if the Ovechkin Varlamov Smythe commercial at Espen was on that list. Good one. It was definitely on the list.
Yep.
Sasquatch.
Yep. It's
Gotcha.
a legendary one.
Reading ID. I also have lived in the Bay Area for more than a decade and never considered going to Stockton until this week. It's not one of my best friend in college was from Stockton.
Yes, here we go.
Fourth generation Stocktonian, by the way, she was. Yeah, and even for someone who loves Stockton that much, she couldn't exactly come up with a lot of reasons to get me to go up there.
Yes, I did enjoy hearing some of the secondhand Stockton stories that she had that you told to me.
Yeah, they are interesting, but yeah, never enough to make it a destination.
Yep.
Let's see. Yes, Sutters are Red Deer and on the team. That's what I thought. Because I remember applying for a scouting job there at some point.
Mhm.
I didn't have the right name, I don't think. Let's see, George. How's it going, George? How valuable is having a partnership with an ECHL organization? I know most teams have a relationship, but not all. I think it's valuable in the sense of you're supporting more hockey somewhere. I don't know that it ever really helps you out that much.
Right. From a development perspective and kind of an NHL based asset perspective, it's not all that important. I think it's the CHL is great that it's there and that you support hockey in some of these other markets. And generally at a time you'll never have more than 2-3 players in your organization that are down at the ECHL level, and the ones that you do are generally ones that maybe aren't making it up to your NHL team anytime soon. So that'd be my answer.
Yeah, but generally those teams are in communities that can maybe sometimes be non-traditional hockey markets. Orlando, comes to mind, and it
Solar
can be
Bears,
it can be a fun time. So and it helps grow the game. It's an affordable way to take people to see hockey too. That's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Pizza Hut, what was it? Waiver tracker or
Oh,
transaction
the Pizza Hut
tracker?
transaction report. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta love it. Those Solar Bears. Brian Biz busting Florida fans for being dead quiet in a playoff game at home. Pounds Red Bull. Come on, Florida, do better. Could any of you picture CPA sounding that weak ever? Nope. No, I can't see CPA being that weak. But again, Florida, it's a
Yeah, certainly not
ways.
in a playoff game.
No, I will give them a little bit of just because yes, the Heat have a game going on in Miami, much closer to everybody. Like even if you're in
Mm-hmm.
Fort Lauderdale, it's basically about the same. And so, I will say that's a Florida issue. Location,
Yeah,
location, location.
it's an arena location issue. Yeah, we dealt with this at the 2015
Yeah,
draft. We know exactly how hard it is to get out there.
yeah. Jeremiah saying Twitter biz is not human biz. I get that social media aspect of his persona. Uh, yeah, I mean it's just I don't know. I get that they've kind of made that a brand and stuff, and they're obviously having success. So good for you with that, I guess. I just it's not. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it that way. Alex, I definitely baited Biz into calling me a glue sniffer on Twitter once. Fun times. Okay, well that is fun. Baiting people on Twitter could be fun. Biz is everything Barkley isn't. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, the humor in Barkley comes from other things for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a different style.
And Shaq and stuff like it's different.
Mhm.
Anchorage Aces used to play Stockton Thunder in the ECHL. Yeah, back
Oh
in the day.
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
remember somehow when I was like a kid, I had just gotten into hockey. I was like 9 years old, 10 years old, something. And this like ECHL came on. It was like Alaska Aces versus someone, and I was just so in awe. Like, what? There's a team in Alaska? How
yeah.
cool is that?
Um, Reading ID. I think you missed where I said I'm going there explicitly to watch the Stockton Heat. You did not say that. That was not stated. I did not want to assume. I thought that's where you were going, but I didn't want to assume. But yeah,
It's a good reason.
it might be the only reason. So
I would say the best reason to go to Stockton.
yeah, Sergeant Pickles. I've driven through Stockton on my way between 29 Palms and home several times, and it is a place. That it is. I mean, it's no
Sure is.
Lodi.
Yep. Oh, Tampa scores.
Oh no.
All right, I think it was Belmar off the face-off. All right, so Tampa's got the 2-1 lead here. How much time is left in this game? I'm looking for the score, and it just says assists Perry. Okay, 16-10 to go in the third.
Yeah,
That's a big goal.
that is a big goal.
Yeah, depth guys scoring. That we got Belmar and Perry with the 2 goals. Perry with an assist on the other one. It's a big game for those guys.
Because I took Florida, Alex. That's been this whole thing between me and RJ. It's Florida's time. You've had 2 cups, Alex. Learn to share.
Yeah, seriously, and I'm still rooting for Florida because Joe Thornton, and I don't care what you say. That's a good reason.
That's a good reason, even if he's not
And
contributing.
Worst case scenario, Tampa wins and my bracket does better.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because like I have more personal interest in rooting for Tampa, I think, and you have more personal interest in Florida, but our brackets say the other, so we're saying the other.
Right.
It's
We've
an
hedged
odd
our
one.
bets. That's what it is.
Yep. So I it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, Alex, if Tampa won for me. Don't worry, I would still be happy. Robert, we're bringing back Donato, right? We better be.
Yes, it would better be. And I have heard nothing that it would indicate that the Kraken are not bringing Donato back.
Yeah.
But as you can tell, they haven't re-signed any of their RFAs, so it's just not something they've gotten to yet in the off-season process.
Yeah. Let's see. Brian was able to jump back on for a bit. Thank you both for answering my Fiala Forsberg question. Appreciate it. No worries, Brian. We got you. Sergeant Pickles, I want Donato and Sprong back. I don't know about Sprong. We'll see.
Yeah, Sprong is a lot less certain. I don't think he's coming back, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it.
Chris Drieger played in the ECHL. Can't name many others, though. Idaho Steelheads, fairly close to Boise. Fairly close in Boise, I should say. That is
Are
true.
you going to mention the name I was thinking? Another ECHL. The first one that came to my mind. Yanni Gord.
Yanni Gord. Yeah, well, that's just right down here from Alex. Yanni Gord was an
Yep.
ECH guy too, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I did see that in chat. Yeah, but yeah, San Francisco Bulls and Kalamazoo Wings,
Hmm.
the two teams. But yeah, I still remember seeing those San Francisco Bulls jerseys around the Bay Area when I lived there. Every now and again.
Yeah, every so often. School bus line parks the puck in front of the net. Uh, yeah, I mean it's just what they do. They're good. That line. Let's see. There's unfortunately no longer an ECHL pro team in Alaska anymore. Wasn't there Alaska Aces connections in that Kraken media room, RJ?
Um,
Didn't
see
Mike
Alaska.
Benton work for them?
Oh yeah, it was. I think it was Mike. Was it Mike Benton? I think so. I gotta look this up. I feel bad not knowing this offhand.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Alaska Aces. Yeah, he was the play-by-play announcer. That's
yeah.
right.
Jeremiah, in any format, I'm afraid to say anything about Stockton in fear of the Diaz brothers showing up and attempting to use their stupidly yet uncontrollable charisma on me. It's a good one. Hey, made money in Vegas one time betting on Diaz, Nate Diaz, just because of the Stockton connection.
Was that the time I was there with you?
Yes,
Oh, that was fun. That was really fun.
when we realized I'm like a savant when it comes to betting on UFC fights.
He really is. I mean, like it's incredible to watch because he'll just kind of look at the two guys and just
Yeah,
be like, "All right, no, this guy," and he'll explain to you exactly like, "All right, this guy like looks overconfident. The other one's good," but he's right. You think he's just talking out as you know what, but he's right.
yep. It's a fun time. Let's see. Alex, I just did not want the Bolts to lose it to Toronto. Agreed. As you said, the internet could not handle the hot takes from that. No, it would have been a disaster. Um, let's see. Sprong is awesome. I hate the Caps had to get rid of him in the Mojo deal. I mean, he can score. It's just he can't. Can he do anything else?
Yeah. I I don't know about that really, but I that's the thing. Given the team's needs last season, someone who all he does is score is valuable, but
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that's not the dynamic next season.
Yeah. Sergeant Pickles, you guys can pick one Lake Tahoe style location for the Kraken to play an outdoor game. Where is it?
Ooh.
Um, hmm. That's really
It's
tough.
some Yeah, it is tough.
I'd want somewhere close to Rainier. Like I'd love to do it in like the shadow of Rainier. Like I think that would be so
Oh,
cool.
yeah would make for a great background. Yeah. Yeah, Shadow of Rainier would be a good one. You've also got some kind of, I mean, see, you've got a lot of just like beautiful, coastline or something
Hmm.
by a lake. I don't know. So, Washington and the nature, you've got a lot of good options.
Yeah, I would. I don't know the area super well, so if you guys have like a good lake near Rainier or a good thing near Rainier, go ahead and let me know. But I would want it close to that
Yeah.
personally. Um, yeah,
Let's
pointing out the
see.
Diaz brothers from UFC are from Stockton for sure. Jeremiah Biz played for the Wheeling Nailers and then made it to the NHL. Did. I mean, made it at a time when guys like him were a little bit more, viable in the NHL.
Yeah.
Different time. Yeah, the Alaska Aces no more. So sad. Used to have season tickets. Another former Aces announcer is Edmonton and Sportsnet legend Jack Michael. And yeah, I mean, Alaska turns out lots of hockey people. So if that's, they were the team for all those people to kind of funnel into and
Yep.
learn the ropes and get their careers started. So it is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I really like that Seattle has kind of adopted Alaska as kind of their quote unquote territory,
mm-hmm.
as a hockey market. We heard a lot of stuff certainly before the season started. This past season started
Yeah.
about outreach to Alaska and whatnot. Haven't heard quite as much since the season started, but like to think they're still thinking about that.
I think everybody got a little distracted by the season that was happening in front of them.
Yes, agreed.
That's what happened there. And then Jeremiah, Jewel Lake, Alaska, because I live on it for a Seattle Kraken outdoor game. I mean, it would
Ooh,
be kind
nice.
of cool to do an Alaska game. That would be cool if the NHL could swing that, or even like a preseason game.
Right, and that's the preseason game. is something that I think the organization really would think about. Certainly, if they continue the whole like 3 rink rush type of idea, where they have some preseason games in other locales, because there are a lot of like home territory
Yeah,
markets they can do.
yeah. No, they got a lot of territory there. Sergeant Pickles calling me out on a team that needs scoring. Dylan questions keeping a player that excels at scoring. Come on, man. But like you want line A levels of scoring if you're just going for scoring, not like
Right.
sprawling
And
levels.
I think I even did with my answer give you a little cover there, talking about
Yeah,
how given the team's dynamic last season, yes, but hopefully that's not, on most like winning teams, that's not the dynamic where you need it wherever you can get it.
yeah. Robert, some of the kids in Alaska are tough playing outdoor hockey games in the winter in Alaska. Oh yeah, no questions their toughness at all. And then George, my bad if you've already discussed, but has Dylan weighed in on the Latang to Seattle talk? Yeah, we talked about Latang a lot at the beginning. We talked a ton of Kraken stuff at the beginning. We've really done a largely Kraken heavy night so far tonight. Um,
Yeah, that's
uh,
kind of where the chats led us,
yeah,
and I certainly don't mind. I like talking Kraken,
yeah.
but
We're open to Latang if you can keep the term down, but it doesn't sound like that's what Latang's already got on the table from Pittsburgh potentially, and potentially elsewhere too. So I don't know that it's gonna work. Bringing him to
agreed.
Seattle. Stratic, what I miss? You missed a lot of Kraken talk.
Yeah, a lot of
So
Kraken talk.
it'll be there. You can always go watch these on the replay if you want. We do get into it all pretty heavily at towards the beginning too, so you wouldn't have to jump too far in or anything. Um, Sergeant Pickles, or just doing it in the parking lot at Paradise. The 4,000-foot elevation wouldn't be too bad. There you go.
That's another option.
Yep. Uh, Jeremiah works for Sportsnet and the Oilers now. Talk about Jack Michaels was
Yeah.
the Aces radio guy. Scott Gomez played for the Aces briefly, didn't he?
Yes. Yep. And he's from Alaska, no?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
There are a few
There's a couple
Alaskan
guys, yeah.
NHLers.
Alex, okay, the nerves have arrived. Sure they have. Yeah, Jeremiah pointing out all the guys, lots of guys played for them during the lockouts. Sergeant Pickles,
Oh
three
yeah.
three rink rush, Portland, Boise, Anchorage, easy. That would be fun,
Yeah,
but a heck of a lot of travel in a short amount of time.
for sure. But hey, at least this season it'd be easier to kind of send some of your B teams out there.
Yeah,
I mean, because you'll have teams that'll basically do split squad preseason games.
yeah,
That's a regular occurrence. You couldn't do that as the Kraken last this offseason because you just didn't have enough bodies.
hmm
But you could do that going forward.
yeah. And then also Sergeant Pickles was hoping they do a preseason in Finland so I could go back. The people there are incredible. I know you've always spoken very highly of your time there. There is going to be NHL stuff going on in Finland this year. Is it a regular season game? The Colorado.
Yeah, those are regular
Those
season
are
games,
regular
and I'm
season.
glad they're doing those again
Yeah.
because I preseason games. It's just not the same.
No, it's not.
And the regular season has little enough meaning that it doesn't mess you up too much.
Yeah, it's Colorado and who? Nashville? Is that right?
It might be, yeah. Is it Nashville? Because they have a few different series. Which one is the Finland one?
I know Colorado is going to be in Finland. I just don't remember who they play in Finland.
Right, because you've got Rantanen. Um,
I'm gonna go ahead.
it would
and
have
answer.
to be another team with another Finn.
I know. It
Um,
doesn't have to. Let's see, Jeremiah Latanger Malkin. You can bring one back. Who are you doing? I mean, for the Penguins or for Seattle? If it's the Penguins, Letang probably realistically makes more sense. You need the help on the blue line. For Seattle, I'd probably also go Letang. Maybe Malkin. I'd go Malkin Seattle if you could make the money work.
yeah, I think Malkin would be the better. They just need the forwards more.
Yeah. Alex, outdoor game on Alcatraz against the Sharks. I'd be for it.
Where do you fit the rink?
That's the problem. It'd have to be on top of the building, and that's like an old crumbly building, so I don't know that works.
Yeah, I don't think you can get that to work.
Striatic, the sooner Tampa gets eliminated, the sooner Francis can start with the Ottinger offer sheet collusion. Oh boy, here we go.
Welcome to the chat,
Do I have to mute you like the porn bot, Striatic? Coming in here with this. Uh,
Uh,
Stratic, but
he's got to just use all the same like emojis and stuff like Jake Ottinger offer sheet now. Offer sheet even Jake Ottinger wants.
Yep. Oh, but the further they advance, the trashier their picks get, so more willing to collude with us. See? Oh, man. There we go. Jeremiah, yes, Scott Gomez went to East High School in Anchorage, Alaska. Dubinsky, Conklin, Crabb, Swayman, Tage, and Tage Thompson, Nate Thompson, all from Anchorage. Yeah, healthy group in
That's a
there.
good list.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're of mixed minds of who we want to win this series as well. Stratic.
Yeah.
And Alex saying there looks to be a plaza out from Alcatraz that might work. I mean, yes, if you really cleared things out, but you couldn't have like fans there. You couldn't have like even fans in boats there. Like there was nothing you could do.
You'd have to just. I'm trying to think of why you would like really want to do just some kind of like prison obsession. Just like
because of the Seattle metropolitan history, RJ.
That's right. That's right. There we go.
Spacing. What was his name? Oh my gosh.
I thought for sure that you would know. That's why I was waiting on you.
Their guy. Ah. Let me look it up.
Was it Bernie Morris? Who was it?
Yes, it was Bernie Morris.
Bernie Morris.
Going to Alcatraz because he draft dodged the American draft for World War I despite being a Canadian citizen. There you go.
Yep.
I love it. Stratic, you put the rink on a floating barge off the coast of Alcatraz, easy. I thought about that, but then I remembered part of what made Alcatraz so inescapable is the current there. You know, like the barge would have to be so strong, stable. Yeah. There's no snow way. Talk about tilted ice surfaces.
Oh. Yeah, just make a giant like gyroscope type device to keep it level.
All because you have to have this Alcatraz game. Alex asking if Tage and Nate are related. It's good.
I don't question.
Know. Reading idea. I've been informed Anchorage is fake Alaska by a reliable source, though. Lol. Interesting. I don't know. My sister was looking at grad schools up there. Didn't end up doing it. But
fake Alaska.
Let's see. What is it? Because it's so big. It's such a big city.
Because it's like far enough south. Do you have to go up to Nome to be real Alaska or something?
Still waiting to see the Victor Rask jersey. Circling Seattle sports. I know. I gotta. RJ, you're keeping an eye on all the clearance racks up there for me, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, Charles might be the best one to do that.
I know.
Keep an eye on the clearance racks. I'll tell you right now, Charles. Keep an eye on those Victor Rask jerseys. If you see anything come up,
yeah, let me know. Jake Ottinger offer sheet porn bottom dead.
That was pretty good.
It was good. Striatic, look, the NHL has picked worse outdoor venues than an Alcatraz barge.
I mean, you're talking about the Tahoe game, but like, yeah.
The
ice was
the fact that like they continually just put them in Chicago endlessly.
Oh yeah, no, that's just Chicago. That's what it's referred to, all the Chicago games.
Yeah.
Fenway a second time.
Yes. Just play at Giants Stadium. That would be good. Could do the Sharks. That would be a fun one to do it there. What's it called these days? It was Pac Bell back when I used to go as a young boy.
Oh, what the Giant is it?
Yeah, it's not AT&T anymore. They moved on from that to something else.
Oh, well, that's what I remember then.
T-Mobile maybe.
Did it just go to a different? Okay.
Yeah, I think it might have just changed cell services.
All right, what is it? What is it called? Oracle Park. Really?
Is it Oracle? Okay.
All right.
Everything up there is just named Oracle, I guess.
Well, tie game.
Good teams.
Duclair.
Let's go. Having himself a night. Let's go, Anthony Duclair.
And the Panthers finally scored on the power play.
Okay, now it's over. Series over. Calling it right now, RJ.
We did say if they can just get the power play going.
Yeah.
And this was a clutch one. They needed this one to get going. So, okay, Vasilevsky completely lost sight of the puck. He had no idea where it was. I guess Duclair, it looked like he was the only guy of anyone on the ice who knew where that puck was. Did it hit the netting is the question. Hang on, I got to turn on the audio for this game. Uh, is this gonna count? I only saw one replay and I wasn't watching for that.
All right. Well, I can't have the stream up just to make sure our stream works.
Oh, it hit the netting. That puck hit the netting. That's no goal.
Damn.
Yeah, it hits the
Yeah,
netting. The referees
that's what
missed
Alex
it.
is saying.
Yep. And everyone, not just the officials, but everybody missed it. Also, it looked like the referee had his hand to his mouth to blow the whistle. Yeah, John Cooper just he knows.
Yep. All right. Bummer.
All right.
Let's see. Jeremiah, it's not fake. At least the cold isn't fake, and the darkness isn't fake. Talking about Anchorage. It's true. Sergeant Pickles, but for real, an outdoor game at T-Mobile Park against the Canucks soon would be fun. That would be fun.
Yep.
All right, well, here we go. The Rask jerseys can confirm that we will be keeping those at full price.
See, that's the thing. We gave him too much information. Now he knows that you'll pay full price for
Rask.
jersey.
No, I would never want a Rask jersey. Why would I want one of those? All he did was contribute for those games I happened to see.
Oh, yeah, you're doing a real good job selling that argument.
Sandpipes. I remember there was an NCAA basketball game on a Navy aircraft carrier, and it sucked because the movement made it really hard to score. Yeah, I can see that being a problem in a sport like basketball.
Yeah. So, oh, that's right. I remember that game now.
I do too. Yeah, Oracle now. All the no goal stuff.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, in my game last night, in my adult league game, I scored a goal kind of just like that, just tucking the puck into the wide open net. Except it didn't hit the netting. It just my defenseman shot it like 5 feet wide at the perfect angle.
Yeah, Oracle took their name off Oakland Arena after the Warriors left. That's what I was gonna say. They got to follow the winning teams.
That's what I was gonna say because I Oracle just felt like an old name because it was off the arena.
A's about to bounce too. I mean, we'll see. They're trying to get a new park in. I don't know why it wouldn't be okayed too. Have you seen the whole plan for that, RJ?
Yeah, I have. Like the Howard Terminal one.
Yeah, it's mostly private money and stuff. Like it makes all the sense in the world.
Right, and I've watched enough of Brody Brazil explaining why that would work and how great it is. So I've heard all of that side of it. It seems like it would make sense.
Yeah, Stratic pointing out no goal. Cats power play continues to fail. Series remains in jeopardy. It does. We were close, but I mean, we didn't want it to end in game one really anyway, right? Like, it would have just been a sweep from here on out. No fun.
I would take it for Jumbo.
I know. All right. I like this question. Would it be dumb to ask why they wouldn't host a game at Lumen as opposed to T-Mobile in Seattle?
No, it wouldn't be dumb. And in fact, I think Lumen would be a better venue.
Yeah, I think so too.
Given where the sight lines are.
Sight lines for sure.
So, yeah, Dylan, we went to an outdoor game at a ballpark and the sight lines were pretty brutal.
They're bad.
I will say.
They are bad.
At a football stadium, they're much better. And also, I just want to hear, the noise. I want to hear how loud it can get. And especially, with Marshawn Lynch now being a part owner of the team, like let him kind of run some of the game day experience stuff. It'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, extremely contentious locally though. Reading ID pointing out. Yeah, I wouldn't know about the local politics. That would be the one thing. And Jeremiah, I keep hearing Vegas will get the A's. They already have their football team. They do.
If not Bay Area, that's got to be a prime location.
Yeah, for sure. Barge on Lake Union would be the superior venue.
Okay, yeah. If you did barge hockey, if that's gonna happen, that would be a good spot. I mean, they love that location from the expansion draft.
Yeah, the sightlines make more sense when the women's soccer team was playing in Tacoma at the AAA baseball stadium. I believe it's Cheney, right? Cheney. I've seen Rainier's games there. The sightlines were terrible. I think the game at Lumen would be cool. Agreed. And I do agree with Sandpipes too. Chiming in, Husky Stadium would be fun as well. The sailgating might be worth it. I agree. I think the atmosphere for that would be fun. Right.
As far as I'm concerned, it's Lumen Field and Husky Stadium would be the two that I would want to see.
Yeah. They seem fascinated and fixated on these ballparks though.
They really do, yeah.
I mean, I
And like,
guess it's
and I,
partly because you're
uh,
doing it at New Year's time, so baseball's the one sport out of season. Like
that's true. You don't
football's
have to
still
worry about
happening.
that at all. That's right. Yeah, because I mean, Lumen, you're gonna have. Although I mean, the
Maybe
Seahawks
not
probably
this
aren't
year.
gonna be playing in January,
Yeah.
but you can never know that for sure.
Yes, it is Cheney Stadium. Cool. I remember getting my Justin Smoke jersey one of those games at Cheney Stadium. And everybody thought I was crazy because I wasn't getting the Dustin Ackley jersey. Who's
You
laughing
sure
now?
showed them.
Whose guy lasted a decade longer in the MLB even if it wasn't playing for the Mariners? This guy. Because of weather, it'll be T-Mobile with the roof. Plus, they have the giant video boards in center field. Ooh, I guess
Oh,
weather might be the problem. Yeah.
you know what?
Here's what we
I
do.
had.
We instead of inventing a barge with a gyroscope on it to keep it all stable, we invent a really big tarp.
Hmm. There we go.
That's how we do it.
Tarp coming up off this barge.
Um, let's see.
Oh man, Florida getting their chances. Vasilevsky standing strong here. Your bad series prediction has not come true yet.
Well, yeah. Why would it happen game one?
Why would you do that?
What?
Gustav Forsling just hit Killorn up high, got his hands up in his face, and now there's going to be a penalty.
Yeah,
That's a dumb penalty to
they've been
take.
taking bad penalties all game.
Was he bleeding? And did the stick hit him? This could be big in this game.
I'm gonna risk it. Bringing the stream back on.
Huh?
I'm turning it on.
Oh, you're going
I'm
to
gonna
turn the
risk,
stream back
yeah,
on
I'm
at the
gonna
game?
risk
Yeah.
it, yeah. For the end here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Better view in a baseball stadium than a football field, I always thought. It depends on where you're at.
Not
And
if
where
you're in the outfield.
Yeah, and where they put the rink. Maybe that would be
Yeah.
better in Seattle. The outfield's raised higher than Dodger Stadium where we were, but I still can't think it'd be good.
Yeah. Hey, we had a great view of that Kiss performance.
Not even. I mean, they were facing away from us.
I know.
Got a great view of all the fire behind Kiss.
That is what I remember, actually. I just was like, oh, yeah, there was a lot of fire, so we
There was
must
a
have had a
lot
good
of
view of
fire.
it.
Nobody works long-term injured reserve better than Tampa Bay. Vegas, maybe.
Yeah. No, Tampa does it better. Vegas still screws themselves.
That's true. And then, yes, Justin Smoke, what a memory, right? Switch hit in first baseman. Hit for power, definitely not for average. Nice career playing in Toronto, though. Much better than Dustin Ackley. George, mini stick hockey on the knees on a mini barge on the Bellagio fountain. Loser has to provide orange slices and Capri Suns. Let's go. I'm there for that.
I was gonna say that just sounds like some fun off-season plans for us. We don't need to do.
I was gonna say, why is that not the All-Star game every year?
I know that's what it should be. Oh man, that'd be great. See, that would be just like our trips to Vegas if we like drank or did some kind of drugs that would get us to risk that and take the door off our hotel room and make it our little mini stick hockey barge.
Yep. Oh, that'd be fun.
That's our version of the Hangover movie.
Yes. Stadium High School overlooking Discovery Bay is made famous in 10 Things I Hate About You. It's been a million years since I've seen that movie. So I'd have to I can't get the image right now, Sergeant Pickles, sorry. Yeah, these are not a great penalty to take, that's for sure, everybody. Let's see, reading ID, dinner time for me, but catch y'all next time, assuming I survive my trip to Stockton. I think you'll be okay.
Well phrased.
But yes, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Let's see. The smoke bomb graphics when he hit a homer. Yeah, I know. And Stadium High School is a cool venue. Yeah, I mean, it's if you guys are saying it, I'm sure it is. God, Josh Hamilton, California Angels jersey. Oh, that's oh yeah, I'm seeing that for the first time now on Killorn. Not good. Why would you do that?
Yeah, the cross check right to the face. He's got it. Killorn's got to go off for concussion protocol here. Yeah, as much as Cooper argued against that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is. I mean, stick makes contact with the face. That's a penalty.
Yep.
And with about 5 minutes to go, that is a poorly timed penalty. I mean, Tampa scores on the power play. You feel like it's over here.
Mm-hmm.
And can the comeback Cats do it, Dylan? Do they have the magic tonight? What do you think?
No, that's a later in the series kind of thing.
All right. Can they afford to go down in the series to Tampa, especially with these games being on home ice?
Yeah, I think so.
Fair enough.
It's one game. If they lose game 2, I don't think
I was going to
so.
say, yeah, I mean, I don't think you can afford to go down 2-0.
But I think you can afford an early home split.
I think so too. Yeah, I think you can win a game in Tampa.
Yeah, you do a split here, a split in Tampa. All of a sudden, it's a best of 3 with home ice. I'd feel okay about that.
Right. Exciting finish. 4.5 to go.
Yeah, and
Killorn's back. That was fast.
I know.
Oh, but how'd that stay out? That was a perfect pass there, Kucherov to Stamkos. That's the look that they wanted.
Yeah.
KUC. Okay. Alex in the chat, did Cooch score?
I would imagine so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we haven't seen it yet.
There it is for me. That was a good
How did
one.
that shot get through?
Magic.
Where did that even go?
Cooch magic.
Yep. He had one of those. What was that? That one that just went like down low under the pads on Campbell that he didn't see in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's got to do it for this game.
Yes.
I don't see Florida coming back
I
here.
agree.
That penalty looms large. Who took it? Was it Forsling? Yeah, it was Forsling.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, where does this shot go?
Glove side.
Like slow mo.
And
he goes right through the legs on Uyghur too.
Yeah.
And then glove side. That's tough because
that's exactly the kind of goal I was talking about on the Matt Savoy scouting report video.
Yep.
Don't let the goalie see your release point and go for under the arm. It's there every time.
Yep. If you can beat the defender between his legs, that was such a tight gap to get that puck.
Yeah.
Uyghur's, I don't know. He's had a slightly rough playoff in my opinion.
What, are we getting a penalty here too?
What is Forsling arguing? I mean, what is he just talking to the ref about that one that just happened?
Or
coach's challenge.
Challenge for Sorelli makes contact with Bobrovsky's head. Watch this when they go to the overhead.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, you know what he does? I think this one might be overturned. Hunter, put Drieger it. Oh, wait.
I think that could come back. If ever there was one to come back, that would be it.
Yeah.
Just because that's visible and the puck comes so fast after.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know that Bobrovsky does anything different if there is no head contact.
Yeah, I don't either.
But exactly, I don't think that creates the goal there. But that is contact with the head right there, like as the shot's coming through.
Yeah,
I think letter of the law, that should be no goal.
And either way, perfect challenge if you're Florida.
And Sorelli initiates it too.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky doesn't do anything to initiate that.
Yeah. And perfect challenge if you're Florida. You got nothing to lose by doing this.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you've lost the game if this goal counts. This is a no-brainer challenge if you see that. I mean, good on the video coaches because you know that Brunette's not seeing that on the bench. Like it's not.
No.
But video coaches, underrated part of the staff.
They're really looking at it too. This is.
I know it's a tough one. It really is because it didn't impede his ability to do what he did. I don't know.
And
I
look,
still think it should be no goal.
Yeah, and if it's no goal, look, Tampa's still on the power play.
Yep. Yeah, as Jeremiah is kind of pointing out here.
This is a long explanation.
Okay.
Oh, actually, something calling the ice stands. We have a good goal. Interesting. I didn't have volume on.
There was no goalie interference prior to the goal? Whoa, all right.
That's what he said?
I think that's what I heard. I'm going to go back and... Okay.
So seeing the goaltender...
It's determined that there was no goaltender interference prior to the goal. So I guess what that tells, well, no, because that doesn't necessarily tell you anything. The way that's worded, it makes me think that maybe they're saying that that head contact came, I guess, simultaneously to the puck going in or after, even though it didn't look like that to
Even though the
me.
puck's not in frame of the camera yet.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to see, because NHL and like NHL PR is going to tweet out some kind of
Yeah.
explanation. They always do.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what that turns out to be. I'm kind
Right.
of scrolling Twitter now,
I
just
was gonna
looking
say
for it.
I agree with Alex here that the only thing I could think of is kind of that he was out of the blue paint,
Right.
but
Yeah, and it was out of the blue paint, but still, if I don't know, if he makes that head contact in a way that clearly like impedes Bobrovsky's ability, even if it's out of the crease, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be
yeah,
called back. Um,
it's just
that's an
it's a
interesting one.
weird it's a weird time for them not to call it because it's not like you're talking about a series defining thing here.
No, you're not.
You're talking about a team that already has a
Um,
lead late in game one. Like if ever there's a
yeah, I
time to
mean,
call it.
right, but I mean, you're letter of the rules. You're not supposed to take that into account, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
so, and it's Toronto. It's the situation for making that call. It's
Yeah,
not
I know.
the officials on the ice who are maybe doing their game management. But yeah, that's an interesting one. It's gonna certainly if Florida gets another one here to get within one that could certainly be looked at and talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, mentions in
Um,
chat of accidental contact. I mean, maybe his back's to the goalie. He's not obviously trying to like take Bob's out, but at the same
but
time,
intent doesn't matter
matter.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that matters that could kind of mitigate the effect of that contact is if you were like pushed in or something. Someone on the other team initiates that contact,
Uh-huh.
and that clearly wasn't the case here.
Yeah, that one's gonna be talked about for sure.
Yeah, I do think they had the wrong call there. But yeah, I mean, I
All
don't see
right,
Florida
there's
coming.
game.
But we
Colton
got
scored.
22. Oh, okay. All right, I'm about to see that then.
Yeah, I mean it's just he's just sitting there hammering on rebounds until it goes in. So
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. There's there it is. All right. Well, that's game. Tampa will take game
yeah.
one. It, yeah. I mean, it should be interesting because now game two becomes a must win for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You can't drop two at home. Man, you think if part of me does wonders too, like has Tampa finally got their legs and turned it on and like just are going to go on to
They haven't looked like the better team though. Like even there on that power play, you see Florida in there having, with the exception of the actual goal, the best scoring chances of that power play.
Right. No, I mean Tampa still, doesn't look like themselves from each of the
And
last 2
and
years.
and what was the power play difference? Like the penalty difference cuz Florida took a ton of penalties tonight.
Yeah, they did. Well, I'm looking at the seats now in the arena. It looks like a Panthers regular season game from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Tampa had 6 power plays. Florida had 3.
Yeah.
Tampa ends up going 3 for 6 on the power play.
Right. So, that's
That's not sustainable.
no. But it's the kind of thing that could give confidence to them moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that you don't necessarily want to do.
Good question here from the Sandpipes. Is goalie interference ignored when the contact happens after the shot, or only when the puck is in the net? Well, certainly when the puck is in. If the puck's in the net before the contact is made, then that's it. The goal's been scored.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it's based on like the shot. I think it's basically whether it impedes the goalie's ability to play their position, and that's more of a subjective type thing.
Yeah.
And so you could argue if the puck was already like way by him and then the contact comes in that it doesn't impede his ability to play the position. But I don't think that was the case here.
Yeah. Alex saying worth noting they went 40% against the Panthers last year too. So
Yeah.
power play.
So maybe
well.
it is sustainable.
I like this from Florida going empty net down by 3 with less than 2 minutes just to say
Oh yeah, why
we're not
not?
going away and all that.
Yep. No, love that. And expected from Florida too. I mean,
Sends the message to your own team too.
yeah. they're putting on some good pressure here. They've got some zone time, and you want to end this game kind of on the
Yeah.
offensive. Wow, that Ekblad stick that just went flying up in the air.
Yeah, that arena did empty out quick, Stratic.
Yeah, really did. I mean, yeah, you got to drive back from the swamp to wherever you live.
I know. How the heck are we already in must game win? Must game win game 2. I know.
Must win game.
Must win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can't against the Tampa team. You cannot go down.
There's so little margin for error against this Tampa team, and going down 2-0 at home, that's huge when those are the 2 home games.
Yeah, Alex pointing out getting out of that parking lot sucks. That is true because it's only 1 point, like one place to enter or exit it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because of
it's just got the one. At the draft,
swamp.
It wasn't a huge problem, but for a game,
yeah, that's bad. All right. I mean, it was, wasn't the most exciting of games until the end there, but that end was exciting.
Yeah, hey, you know what? We started talking about the game at the right time.
Yep. And we got lots of good Kraken discussion in, particularly
yes,
early.
Which I was eager to have that discussion too, because I have just been thinking about that stuff each of the last couple days and wanted to talk with people about it.
Mm-hmm. So if you came in late and you want to hear all that, just go watch the replay. We talk a lot about the Kraken the first half hour, 45 minutes for sure. It's pretty heavy on the Kraken talk, so we could even put out a tweet about that. Probably drive some views towards it. But as the game winds up here, I'll do a quick last call for questions and stuff because I got to get going because I have a meeting at 7:15.
Yeah, so
I gotta try to eat something before then, if possible.
Yeah.
So do a last call. Tampa celebrates, minus the goalie kisses.
I know.
No Cole Lind.
So and also too, if any of you want to compliment Dylan for being a good big brother, cause the stream to start a little bit late, or admonish him for prioritizing anything over this stream, feel free to throw that in chat.
Yeah, go for it. I'll take that one. Stratic, I don't know. The Cats are really good at comebacks. Maybe going down 2 games is all part of the plan. Could be.
Yeah, series comeback Cats, I guess.
I know. Alex pointing out the ECH crew are good luck for the Bolts. Yeah, and that's why this is the last time we'll be covering one of their games on these live streams.
Yeah. Yep. That's
you're just like
for Dylan's bracket, for the sake of Dylan's bracket, you got to do it. I'm trying to think, has it been 2? Yeah, no, since we launched ECH, the Lightning have won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yep.
And no other team has won it. So
yeah, but our last playoff live stream, we saw Tampa win against Toronto.
That's right.
There we go. How many game 7s this round do you think, RJ?
I'll go with 1.
I'm gonna go 0.
All right.
I think all these are fast. They're all gonna be sweeps except for Tampa, Florida. That's game 5. Florida win.
Interesting. All right. If they're all sweeps, who sweeps each series? Let's go by real quickly.
I don't know. I guess I have to say
I think St. Louis will beat Colorado.
They're not sweeping.
I think Colorado will.
I was gonna say Colorado sweeps St. Louis if it's gonna be a sweep. Carolina
sweeps Edmonton.
Yes, I agree. Calgary sweeps Edmonton. Carolina sweeps the Rangers.
Yeah, that actually does make the most sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go.
There we go.
Got your bold predictions out of the way.
All decided. And Alex says I'm the number 1 sibling. So I was gonna say I better be my sister's number 1 sibling. Because if I'm not,
yeah,
there's some stuff I really gotta hear about. All right then. Edmonton sweeps Calgary. Spicy. No, it's impossible.
Unless they find a way to clone McDavid.
Yep. Which, if that technology existed, we would have already done it with Jared McCann. So.
Exactly.
Striatic, where's the update on that? How's it going? You were in charge of that, I remember.
Yeah, that's your project. We need this in the off season so we know who to go out and get.
Exactly. Um, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this live stream. Can't wait to do it again. I promise they're going to be a little bit more regular and stuff here as our schedules start calming down and stuff. Um, yeah, looking forward to it. Always have a fun time talking hockey with everybody. And we'll see you for the next one.